We heard it loud and clearly. You said it with your full chest. You don't actually care. You are ill-equipped to have conversations of what is or isn't racist, ableist, misogynist, etc., because you uphold it. You are an ableist. You are a racist. You are a
That's it.
misogynist.
Exactly.
I'll
This
finish
is my
with
point.
that. Yes, stay the fuck out of this disc.
Mercedes, I don't think you should speak up. Honestly, girly pop.
You calling trans people groomers. You're calling them a danger to kids. But then you claim you up here, you act like you voted for Kamala and stuff when you didn't even register to vote until 2022 and you never voted.
I've never tried to get in alive as hard as this because I think this is important. You earlier when you were gonna bring me up an hour and a half ago, you asked me if I was gonna do it out of love and like have a nice cordial conversation. And the answer is yes, but not for this. It's for the love of like other communities who are deeply affected by shit like this. Is really bad.
Talking about 100 men versus one gorilla, who would win? Bitch, I'm a gorilla. I'm gonna put it to you like this. Not only would I unalive all 100 men that come my way, I will attend their funerals and take their woman from them afterwards. You ain't never heard that once you go silverback, you never go back? Well, hell, I might want to think about this. I might do even worse. I'll keep you alive, but I'll rip your bananas off, okay? Like Lorena Bobbitt. And then I will take your woman. What do you call a picture of me with my arm around your girl smiling like this? That's called gorilla cheese. One of y'all gonna have a wife named Manila. I'm gonna take her. We gonna call that Gorilla in Manila. Y'all act like my cousin Shaq didn't dominate the NBA for decades. Y'all act like my whole...
Cousin Shaq.
No.
My cousin Shaq.
No.
So I just want you to be clear. This is all I came to say. If you want to platform people like this, right? You just got to get it clear. It's fine having these conversations. Certain people don't deserve the fucking kindness that you are showing.
And
this
that's
person.
you.
Okay,
if
Ray.
I was worried about
And
that,
I swear to
that way,
God, Ray. And the next time I see you, I will feed you your teeth. All right, brother. That's all I came here to say. That's all I came here to say. Okay.
Because I think he's talking about the main joke where I said cousin Shaq. That is literally a Pete Davidson joke in a roast.
But I will just straight up, like, whatever explanation you will give, I don't think is acceptable. Because, I mean, to even, like, parallel a gorilla to another black man, like Shaq, like, even if you're referencing something else, it's not acceptable. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's like, so it's
most
okay.
of the jokes were from that. So I don't...
But it don't really matter where it's from, though. Like, you're literally making a racial joke.
No, that's the whole thing. Like, Z literally come into the live the other day or whatever, and she's making microaggressions.
Thank you.
Ray, you posted a racist video about the. Didn't he take it down? I thought he took the video down. Like, what more do y'all want from him? What do you mean it doesn't matter if he took it down? They said over and over on the panel. The guy who pulled up the video said, "This video is still up right now." That's what he said. He said it over and over. This video is still up right now, right? So the fact that the video was still up did matter. I don't know who you watched, but I watched a guy go on there, pull up a video, put it up to the camera, and then say over and over, this video is still up on his feed right now. And then after he left, he took the video down. So now it's not still up on his feed. So the fact that the video was still up at the time mattered. If it's not up now, that should also matter. But I feel like, yeah, the goalposts are constantly moved. Covering up racism does not define a change of heart, dude. Wait. Are you telling me, Deja, if you want to hop on, I'd be happy to talk to you about this. Do you think that video showed, a problem with how, like, his heart towards black people? Do you think that was the issue there? I appreciate it, man. People made a lot of assumptions about me based on one video. Yeah, the problem is that, okay, he even explained, like, why he put it up, okay? And this is just my thought process. When you, like, in different contexts, things are going to be appropriate. In other contexts, they're not, right? If Shaq signs up for a roast, and he signs up for a roast, he knows that he's going to go in and get roasted in ways like that, like where it's going to be a little racist. It's going to be, you know, they're going to say fucked up things about him, but he's signing up for it in that moment, right? If we take now out of context and now just put it up on TikTok without that being the context where these other people didn't sign up for this, and now there's a guy, you know, with a monkey face who's doing this bit, that being out of context now looks racist. It doesn't mean that he hates black people. It doesn't mean that he has this bias against black people. It just means that obviously that's the way it's going to look. And so obviously it's because it looks racist. That is the problem with the video. Not that it means he hates black people. That is a very different sentiment.
Okay. Mercedes, I'm glad you're joining us this evening. I did want to speak to you the other night, but it seems as though whatever I had to say was deemed ill-important or unproductive, but hopefully we can move forward in a genuine manner tonight. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I have a litany of questions that I've been wanting to ask over the last few days, but above and beyond, I do question your approach to this, and I have to wonder, how effective has it really been?
It's about to be, I think, really effective.
How effective has it been?
It's about to be really effective. It's not, when you're on the frontier
Okay.
of something, maybe it's not effective until you make some traction, but I think it's about to be really effective.
What can you guarantee will be the effects of this?
Change in TikTok culture.
Change in TikTok culture, is that one that veers away from what you deem accountability or cancel culture?
We're gonna bring in the liberal, just the liberal folk. The leftists have their place on here, that's great, but I think liberals are gonna come through and succeed.
Succeed in what exactly?
Creating our own space that's more palatable to people who...
Palatable. But what does that look like, though?
This.
Which is what? Which is condoning, which is allowing and condoning and downplaying conversations like this?
I think this is a great conversation. This live has been great.
Okay, well, you've said yourself that you aren't liberal. I don't know how suddenly that mantle applies to you.
I said socially I'm moderate, but policy-wise I'm left.
Social moderate? What policies?
Just like general, I like free healthcare, free college.
I see. I mean, I was watching your live the other night, and you seemed to argue that we should let the right characterize Black Lives Matter as a riot, and that in doing that, in making that concession, we can have greater conversations about police accountability. But you couldn't clearly define what police accountability looks like. So I do have to question how effective your discourse, your dialogue are going to look like moving forward if you can't lay out the specifics, if you can't engage in an intellectual manner like that.
What I said was we need police reform, and then I went on to say, just like I don't know how to build. I know, like in society, we need bridges. I don't know how to build a bridge. I know we need police reform. I don't know how to be the person to put together a whole entire course that would be sufficient enough for police to stop.
No, I'm not asking for that, but just to have the conversation. Just to have the conversation would be sufficient. Just police reform is a blanket statement that doesn't mean anything. But also you allowing it and you yourself wording it in terms such as riots, which it very much was not, does not encourage anyone to believe that we should have police reform. That would encourage a more militant police force.
I said there was both. I said both happened.
So you understand 96% of Black Lives Matter protests, which were global, by the way, did not include any incidents or acts of violence of that nature?
So 96%, meaning the other percentage, would mean both.
Meaning the vast majority of it?
Yeah, that still includes both. That means there's two parts.
Right, but you're taking a minute fraction of the overall movement and letting them characterize it as a riot, which you yourself seem to admit is false and is wrong to characterize.
What I said is them characterizing it as a riot. Like I don't care what word they use because I don't cry about words. So like if they use riot and they're upset, if their issue is, hey, I did not like BLM because of their perception on it being a riot, then my answer to them is, well, if we got police reform, then the city that you deem was unsafe due to what you deem to be riots in your worldview as a MAGA person would end up, you wouldn't have to deal with it again if you guys would actually agree to police reform.
But you can't articulate what police reform looks like.
I just
I mean, I don't know how you can get down to the
I just talked about it
basic
earlier.
principle of
I,
why
I
Black
literally
Lives Matter
just
exist
I
if you
literally just
yourself
said it
cannot
earlier
identify the problem or identify the solution.
I said to you, I said, I don't know how to build a bridge that semis and cars would drive over, but I know we need them. I
But
can
you're
know
trying to
that
do that.
I can know that we need police reform without knowing how to put
Okay.
together a manual that is
Okay.
proper,
I
you
see.
know, up to standard for police.
I see. So you're saying you understand the need to build a bridge over this overpass, you just don't have the tools to.
A bridge with semis and cars going over, yeah, I don't think you would know how to build a bridge that semis and cars could go over. No, I don't think either
How do
one
you
of
know
us know
that?
how to do that.
How do you know that?
That you don't know how to build a bridge with semis and cars?
So this is just a metaphor for what I'm trying to say here. We aren't being literal here. But how do you know that I don't know?
I feel like if you did know, you wouldn't be on TikTok as much.
I'm not on TikTok that much. That's the thing. I'm on TikTok arguably less than most of creators on this app, okay? I think I spend probably 3, maybe 4 hours of my day on this, and then the rest I'm busy doing other work. Can the same be said about you? Because so far as your background would extend, the most activism that I can point to would be the Gays Against Groomer division that you were part of.
Yeah, and I've there's a whole YouTube video on it if you want to go watch it.
I don't have time for that. But what did that
Yeah,
look
for
like?
sure.
What exactly did you do with that organization?
Yeah, I was with them for 6 months.
I understand that. I'm asking what exactly did you do?
I went to one town hall meeting.
And that's it?
Yep. Oh, I made
And what did
content.
that look like?
I made content for them.
That would have been nice to mention.
Yeah.
You made content with them, and what did you say?
Whatever the message was over there.
I don't know what it was. I'm asking you.
No, you know what Gag's message is.
I'm asking you what it was. This is why I say these conversations are important to have publicly, not the kind of shy excuse of a phone call that you requested. I think people deserve to know where you stand, how you've deconstructed that, and how you will bridge these gaps with these communities and communities you want to include moving forward. And your tepidness in this regard is demonstrably concerning. And I believe I have a right to call that out. I don't think it's a leftist thing to say. I don't think it's cancel culture to say that you are intellectually insufficient to handle these conversations.
I think I'm definitely intellectually sufficient to handle like the people on the right for sure.
Are you saying that they're dumb?
Yes, I'm saying that a lot of people on the right have a lower IQ for sure.
Are you saying that you're dumb?
I've said it probably 10 times in multiple different lives.
So you believe that you can combat disinformation and a lack of foresight, a lack of intelligence.
It's a cultural problem.
So you're saying it's a cultural problem.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And you and Tom and Z and others are part of whatever this conglomerate has become.
We're going to fix this culture.
Just 1 second, please. All of you seem to have been, just a second, please.
Ushering in
All of you seem to be under the impression that this will usher in a vast new wave of voters supporting the Democratic Party. I'm sure supporting the Democratic Party, and then that will change culture. You guys pick your favorite black person, Barack Obama, as an example. Just 1 second, Mercedes. You and Tom and Z have used Barack Obama's election in 2008 as an example. Can I finish my point, please?
Well, if you talk about the right subject.
Can I finish? Because you've made this argument before, okay?
And I still stand by it.
Can I just finish? Okay, then let me finish my point, please. Then you can respond. Thank you.
You're responding to culture.
Oh my goodness, you're still talking. It's funny how I'm talking and you feel the need to interject.
Culture, you're responding to the wrong culture, so you're not even responding to what I said earlier.
Let me iterate my point,
we're here
please.
to change the culture. So
I know that you want to start with the votes to change the culture.
No. I'm talking about we want to start with TikTok.
You aren't changing TikTok culture.
Oh yeah, we will.
How are you so sure? Mercedes, how are you so sure? You're not laying out the mechanisms that will be effective. You're not telling me what you've done to be effective as an activist or communicator. Right here on full display right now, you're showing just how articulate you can be.
Yeah, because she doesn't know, Jaden.
I
She has
think
no
it's
idea
pretty
about it.
clear she just doesn't want to
We all
tell
have
you
plans.
guys what it is that she's planning
She
on
doesn't
doing, but
know
you're
what
saying
she's
it is
doing.
I'm sorry.
that
Well,
What
Tom,
This is the same kind of rhetoric that Trump deploys. I've
They
got a
want to know
great
so
big
bad.
plan for the
They
Middle
want to
East.
know so bad.
I'm not president right now.
to be fair, tomfoolery, wouldn't you think it's important for her to like know this information and how to argue against it or for it, especially if she is going to be leading this movement of Unfuck America tour? Wouldn't you think it's important?
I'm not
But, like,
reading it.
you know, if we're talking about like a somebody that is somewhat left leaning and like Jaden that is very left leaning, and they're just having a back and forth, and Jaden's just trying to pick her brain.
see
Wouldn't
right
it
now
be
when you
important
say
for her to
leading.
be able? Wouldn't it be?
Behoove you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Mercedes like, admitted that she's like going to be one of the lead speakers of this. Am I
No, I never
incorrect?
said that.
I'm sorry.
What's your role?
No, that's not my role.
Okay, I do apologize. What is your role then?
I mean, I can't. I'm not going to talk about that.
Well,
But
no, that's fine. If it's like
Can we
some
mostly
contract,
talk
that's
about
fine,
like
but, like,
I can say I'm a
the things that
creator.
you're advocating for? Because that's what I'm a little confused
Yeah,
about.
I would like to know.
What am I advocating for?
Yes.
when you go.
A change, a culture on the left that everyone can get behind.
Wait, but how are
Can
you
you-
doing
without
that?
the
Wait,
platitude,
towards
please. What does that look like?
Republicans?
This is a good start to what it looks like.
Which is what? Be
It's not
specific.
though.
Being
Any
able to
way
speak your
fit.
mind
She's saying
without
a
getting
more
personally
moderate
being
like
policed
group of people that are on the
Yeah, I know.
I
on
know
the
those
left,
words.
but that's
I
like
hear those
but that's
words in the order
for
that she
you
has said
to
them in.
but
But
for
what
you
does
to
that look like?
yeah but for you to like go down a bunch of specifics, it's not going to be that easy to talk about. Like there's a difference in
It
values
actually
We
between
can start
liberals.
somewhere.
Hold on, I'm in the middle of
We can
I'm in the
start
middle of I'm
somewhere,
in the middle
Tom.
of starting somewhere.
You
So
had no
in
problem
the
when she was
middle
interrupting me.
in the middle of
Okay, call me out, but not your friend Mercedes. I got you.
in the middle of sorry, I'm
Finish your lack of
Well,
thought,
yeah.
Tom.
yeah. Okay, so the liberal politics obviously are going to be very different from leftist politics. And so the leftist politics are going to have very different values than liberals do. And so especially when it comes to like differences in liberty versus equality and what it is that they value one versus the other, they have different values in the way that they assess things and the way that they come to conclusions. Liberals are going to have a different culture pretty much across the board and have different values when it comes to how they engage.
Tom, I know this.
It is
I
like a
know
So-
all
so-
of this. This
the-
is not
so
new
to say-
information.
so what do
Trying
you
really
so
hard
but
to
yes
get down to like
but I'm asking, like I'm saying, we can only explain this in a broad like platitude without you asking about specific things. Like what do you
Well, I
want?
mean,
like
Why can you only
well, we
explain
can
it that
talk
way?
about specific issues because what's really
Yes.
interesting to me is like when you complain about not complain. Let me be kinder, less aggressive. When you talk about like there's no path for these semis and all that, right? Who builds them?
the semis or the
You want to answer that, Mercedes? Since
Yeah,
you're
the
being
bridges.
part of
Like
it?
Mercedes, who built those bridges? Like maybe like the black people that you're microaggressive towards, or like
Wait, what? No, my analogy. What the fuck? My analogy about bridges has nothing to do with black people.
No, your analogy about bridges
Here,
has to
here
do
we go
with your
again. But no,
idea.
my analogy of
Hold on.
bridges has to do with you can know that we need something in society without knowing how to give that to society. So
Yes, but who are
know
the
that we
people
need-
that are figuring
hold
out
on,
how to
hold on,
provide
hold
that
on,
to
hold on,
society,
hold on,
if
hold
not
on,
you?
Hold on. Exactly. And what I said is
No, that's it. Yeah, that's what I'm
Leslie's
asking.
analogy.
no,
We're
that is the
agreeing right
point.
now,
No,
right?
that is the point of her
This is-
analogy. She's saying that like organizers, like people who there's other people who may have a better idea of how to get it done, and that those
there
that she
are
is.
a lot of people with
Then
those
why
ideas.
why
It's not
aren't we
a good
I
promoting
was talking
idea
them?
about
to.
police brutality.
We can
Literally,
talk
the
about
bridge
police
analogy.
brutality.
The bridge analogy is strictly about police brutality. You
Oh,
can
that's
go and
only
inject
about police
that into
brutality.
any other. Yeah, well, Jaden said you don't know how to. You
Then
don't.
how do you bridge that
build
gap?
a manual. You wouldn't know how to build a manual in order to give it to the police to tell them this is how you should operate to lower.
Yes, which is
brutality.
We
why
actually
you're the
have
What I'm
same.
saying, hold on, let me finish. What I'm saying is, and I said, I do not have to know how to build a manual for the police to follow in order to know that we need police reform. To say that
I
so
see.
Mercedes.
So I should hire someone who's
Wait,
worked with
wait.
a Lego construction set to work on my excavator.
No,
Is that what I'm hearing?
I think you should hire the ex-MAGA voted 2 months before the election for Kamala Harris kind of thing.
But
Like,
they don't know how to
But
build
you
the
don't
damn
know.
bridge.
Mercedes,
What?
what you're telling me
MAGA.
is that you used to be a part of this community that you're going to talk to without a
Oh, yeah.
foundation to explain to them how they can change. So if,
Yeah,
if
no.
I'm MAGA, if I'm fascist MAGA, and I'm hearing, oh, police are hurting black people,
Well,
I
no,
don't
I'm
care
not
about
arguing
that.
that
Then
point.
why would I care about the lack of foundation that you have to
That's
bring me to the other side?
when you said I'm MAGA, oh, the police are hurting black people, you just made the most contradictory statement because most of MAGA are not concerned about that
Yeah,
issue.
that's the point. So how are you going
I
to convince them through
know.
What was the
We're
point of
not,
how are
because
you
I'm not
going to
winning them on that
convince
issue.
them?
I'm never going to bring that
How
issue
are you
up to
going
them.
to
I'm never
convince
going
them
to
through
convince them.
debate that that's
I'm
even an
never-
issue?
What was that? You're never
I'm
going to
not
convince
bringing
them?
that issue to them. That is not the issue. that I'm
Okay,
going to
so
bring to
remember
them
when we
against
talked
them.
about what you're actually advocating
Mind
for?
you,
Can
this
you
is
tell us?
wait, hold on.
If
It's
I
not even
wanted,
that.
if I wanted someone who
This
was
is something
MAGA,
that you mentioned, Mercedes,
if I
in
wanted
regarding
someone,
to
if I
bridging
wanted someone to
gaps.
come over here who was MAGA, the last thing I'm going to be saying to them is, "Hey, I want you to come vote over here because."
But
Well,
why
there's
should they though,
police
if they don't
brutality.
care? Why should they?
Because blue votes usher in change.
Okay,
That's what I
listen,
wanted to talk
listen.
about. That was
Wait,
exactly
Mercedes,
what I wanted to
that's the
talk about.
foundation. That's a great idea, right? But you're telling MAGA to vote for what they think is this DEI hire black woman to control policies?
Yes.
Well, I mean,
No. I want to pick up on that point real quick because that was exactly
No,
what.
I want her
that
to
is
answer.
exactly
Like,
what
how does that make any
Mercedes.
sense?
Right.
Because what you're going to have to do is convince them of misogyny, convince them of
no, I
racism.
don't.
Yes,
Yes, you
you
do. Listen, this is why this is what I wanted to talk about earlier that you interrupted me
you
on.
don't.
Okay, this has to do. One second, Tom. This is
Right,
important.
Tom, isn't that
You
crazy?
are under the impression that voting changes culture, and in history, and as it has dictated, has
Rubbing his
never
thoughts over there.
been in that order whatsoever. Culture changes voting. Voting does not change culture. And you continue to use Barack Obama as an example. I would argue in many different ways that set us back on a number of different fronts that I'm not frankly willing to get into right now. But the idea that somehow we can trust people to vote and suddenly culture will shift in this drastic way that's sustainable over a lifetime period is laughable at best. We need to shift the culture by having these complex conversations about racism, about police reform, about misogyny, about ableism, such as Tom's R slur. We can have these complex and difficult conversations with people in a way that they can understand. Pushing it to the back burner and saying it's not important, they'll just vote for us because we dumb it down and lead to the lowest common denominator is exactly how we continue to perpetuate the growth of fascism, is anti-intellectualism. Those go
Well,
hand in hand.
these are separate
Thank
things.
you.
Like one thing to like try to change
They're
the
not
culture to
separate things.
have
They fall
more.
under the same
Well,
concept.
no.
No,
I'm
they don't.
I'm saying what he's
They are not
talking about
separate
is
things.
separate. That like saying that you want to change
No,
the culture on TikTok is different than saying that like we're going to change the culture of the entire country. That like we can
What is
get
the
people to
culture?
vote. Hold on,
What
wait.
culture
Hold
is
on,
that?
hold on. We can get people to vote blue without changing the culture. We can get them to think that there are policies from somebody like Kamala Harris that are in their best interest without them thinking that like DEI is a big problem and they need to care about critical race theory and like all these other things. Like
So
we can
vote for a black woman?
yes, that we can
How
get
will you
them to
convince
care
a
about these
racist
other
maggot
things.
to support
Yes.
Harris?
Okay.
What is
That
the
I don't
bridge to
think
convincing a
I don't think
racist
MAGA is the
to support
majority of
Harris?
people who voted for Trump. I don't think the statistically they're not.
Okay.
Statistically
How will
they're
you
like
convince
30%.
a racist Republican conservative to support Harris or any black person on
Who
any
is
level
it?
of government?
Centrist, independent.
Yes,
I'm asking how will you get them to support that
through
Make them
without
through
feel like they're
economic
discussing
discriminated,
policy,
these
not
issues?
talking
vote for
about the
Trump as
fact that it would be
majority, is what I'm
better
hearing.
for their wallet, better for the economy, better for like all their personal wants and needs. That is the best way to get people to vote for
But what
a
if their
Democrat.
wants and needs are? If Kamala Harris is antithetical to their wants and needs, then why would they vote for her?
Exactly.
Again, economic policy is not like antithetical to it. If you can actually get
They
them to
don't see
understand
that.
that,
They
I know
see
they
black
don't see that.
and they go
I know they
boogity
don't see
boogity
that.
boo.
I know they don't see that. That's the point, though.
They didn't even know about
So
that.
then how
That
are you getting
Mercedes
them
is
to
saying.
vote for her?
Oh my goodness, Mercedes is saying that you don't have to get them to agree on all of these other things, you can get them to understand that those things are different. Whether or not you have like a specific plan to do that is a totally separate thing. I need you guys to understand first. We need to agree first that you could get people to see that Democrats are in their best interests economically and that they would want to vote for a Democrat, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Nobody's denying this, though, Tom. Nobody's denying this. The
That's
issue
fine.
is Mercedes doesn't. Wait, hold on. The issue is that Mercedes is not able to explain this. She doesn't even know where to actually start, right? She doesn't know. Like she's literally saying, "Hey, let's defeat fascism," but she's not talking about the fundamental concept of what goes along with fascism. Like, for example, racism, right? She brought up police brutality earlier, but she's not able to actually explain how we dismantle that, and that is going to be an issue considering the fact that she will be a part of this movement. She's saying that she wants to change TikTok culture. She's saying that she wants to get more blue votes, and that's great and all, surface level. But if she's not able to explain this to these individuals, to these red voters, so on and so forth, then what would be the point of her even like being a part of this movement? Like, I think that's a realistic question to ask.
Those are not okay. So the majority of
Money.
people don't change their minds based on like those sorts of things, anyways. Like they see things. So especially like rhetorically, most of people, and especially online when it comes to influencing, most people change their minds because they see somebody that they respect, they like that person, and now they're more willing to listen to what that person has to say. And then once they respect somebody and hear them say things that before they might have found controversial, they're more willing to hear them out on those specific issues because they respected that person first, right? If they hear from people who say, yes, no, I'm the same as you, have the same values as you, all that, but I still thought that it was better for me to vote for a Democrat. We agree on most things, yet I still voted for a Democrat. Just a couple months ago, I was still a Republican, and I also thought the same things as you, but now I realize that I was wrong. Like, those are people that they're going to feel more heard by, more empathetic to, more represented by.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Explaining this to three black people is insane to me. But
well, I'm sorry. I find it wild that I have to explain it. That I would think that black people would understand.
The problem is that you're not actually answering our questions. You don't have to explain it to us because we already know.
Yeah,
we're asking you how because like we actively do it. So I'm just.
Wait,
right.
but
So
you're asking the question, I answer the question, and then you're saying I'm blown away that you're explaining this to me.
You gave us concepts.
Wait,
So, Tom,
what did I not answer? Hold on, wait. Hold on, wait. Meadow, what did I not answer?
Yeah, we're asking you how. So I'm a teacher, right? And my my principal hands me this curriculum, and they're saying teach this to your students, and I go sure. Students have to learn based on who they respect, an environment that is essential to their growth and development, right? But how am I going to do that? Then I would start to have to give you plans. So the concept is there, right? Teach the students, but how am I going to do that? So
what I just said is that.
1 second. No, you didn't. You explained to us how people learn
and listen to others, but you don't explain how.
No. Mercedes is that. Mercedes is that. She is the person who was
not,
just. Hold on, wait. Mercedes is the person who was just a Republican shortly, and moved over and
we're
voted.
Not disagreeing with that.
I'm saying she is the representation. She is somebody that they would be willing to listen to, and she can just explain why she did that and why she voted for Democrats, why she thought it was more beneficial.
Yes, and you know what they're going to call her? Mercedes, the perspective of MAGA, who saw you go from gays against grooming to a liberal who voted for Kamala.
1 second.
They're going to call you a groomer.
Who is? The right? No, the right.
The people that you're going to talk to. The people whose side you were on 2 months ago.
They're not. Okay. You're going to tell me,
wait, that's obviously true about some people. Well, that's obviously true about some people.
Absolutely not.
But that's
hold on. Are you an ex-conservative to any degree?
Absolutely not.
I think that's probably why we should be distrusting if you're leading this movement.
Exactly.
I've spent so much time with these people my whole entire life.
I know you did.
And the majority of them are not calling people like me.
Wait, but that is hold on, Mercedes. You're forgetting that you're not going
That's what we call.
This has nothing to do. This has nothing.
Really quick.
Mercedes, this has nothing to do. This has nothing to do with your hometown and the people that you grew up with. You're forgetting that you're going to be stepping out of this once you go on this tour. Okay, you're forgetting that you're going to come across some genuine extreme MAGA people. Okay, Right. Okay. So if you understand this, right, and if we already
Well, acting
agree
like
that
this isn't like
Please
my
stop
character.
interrupting.
Mercedes, please just give me
Y'all
one moment.
acting.
Just give me one moment. Let me finish this real quick. Let me make this very clear. All three, Drayden, Meadow, me, Geek, we think it's a smart tactic that you as an ex-Republican, ex-MAGA is going to go up there and talk to these people. That's surface level good, okay? We're saying that this is smart. Our issue is that you don't know how you're going to actually convince these people. You don't understand the rhetoric that you're going to be able to break this down to them. You don't know where to start, right? You just admitted that multiple times in this live.
You'd be surprised how many people are voting.
You just admitted this multiple times.
Yes, you did it. So like,
you guys are trying to bring academia. You guys are trying to fight these people with college degrees in academia.
You're not listening.
When I tell you,
that's not how. First of all, you've never asked us what our plan was.
I guarantee that
what our understanding
I would
is.
guarantee that like 35% of MAGA is voting. Maybe this is me being generous because it's probably a lot more. Are voting solely off of vibes. When we look at the fact that most of these people are on welfare, when we look at the fact that most of these people are actually fine with being
because they are not well read, right?
But they will not come
over.
Mercedes,
you agree? Then you agree that these people are not well read, unfortunately, correct? Do we at least agree with that? They are not well read. They are not educated. Correct.
50% of America doesn't read. 54% of America doesn't even read it.
I'm talking. Sure, Mercedes.
And you guys are like,
I don't know why you're
fighting. Who that 54% voted for.
Mercedes, you just made it 30%.
And then you just said that we're going to fight them with this
talking. I don't
education.
Know who's saying what?
Well, I'm the deep.
Sorry, go ahead.
No.
I was just sorry. I just want to clarify. I'm confused at the point that you just brought up the fact that half of Americans can't read, and then try to kind of like. I don't throw it at us that we're going to fight them. I thought I was still talking. Sorry. That we're going to fight them with education.
We're going to fight them with culture. I am going to fight them.
Okay. Yeah. So the culture of people who can't read.
Yeah.
You're not going to fight them with education.
But is this not targeting college campuses? Aren't we under the presumption that they're literate?
This is going to be way more than just college campuses. Like,
where's it going?
We're not going to talk about that, but at the end of the day,
okay.
Build up something that actually can reach all demographics of people where they're at.
Which is
a lack of education.
Which is everywhere.
So you're going to combat the lack of education with a further lack of education just on what you deem as the right, or excuse me, the left?
That these people care about. You really think the crowd, Charlie Kirk's #1 selling book is something college is a scam? Do you think that this crowd gives a fuck about your education? They don't give two shits in a damn.
So you're going to debate college students.
They are literally voting off of vibes and culture.
Okay, so Mercedes, what you're saying is
the majority of people who gather around. The majority of people who gather around Charlie Kirk's tents are not there because of policy. Most of them are there because the vibes of the Republican Party is all they know. It's how they were raised. It's the only thing that they think will accept them the way that they are. The culture on the left is just, it's the tightest thing I've ever.
It's not vibes.
It's
right.
Not
Mercedes, I think that the issue is saying that they're only going based off vibes would still not help you make them vote blue. And let's just be realistic, right? And I'm only saying this in regards to what?
They like my vibes.
Oh. No, they don't. No, they don't. I can tell you for sure. I can tell you for sure that they don't. Almost certainly that they don't.
Mercedes, I'm sorry, but what you're saying, what you're saying is that what's confusing me is that you're saying like their vote is based off of vibes. So to change their vote, you're just going to give them different vibes.
Right, and how exactly are you actually? Let's actually talk about your vibe then, right? Let's say that you're talking to somebody that is a present MAGA, right? And let's say you're trying to engage with them, trying to hopefully get them to register voting blue within the near future, especially definitely before 2028, right? Let's say what vibe will you get off? Let's say they're talking about. Let's say they're talking about racism, right? Because they love bringing up race for some reason.
They don't know. You guys talk about that more than they ever will.
No, that is actually fundamentally not true. MAGA is always
No, that is
talking about-
fundamentally true.
That is not
They don't-
true.
they don't
To
talk
the
about
point,
it.
wait, but
They
you've
don't
already
talk
said
about
that those are things that we
They
wouldn't
talk
talk
about
to them about.
replacement
Like
theory.
again, we're talking to
I
them
think
about
if-
things that would convince them, that would benefit them specifically.
Tom, to be fair, I bring this up only because, to be fair, I bring this up only because white men in particular that voted mostly for who? Trump this election actively talk about how they feel like they're not heard in regards to this election. They do feel like they're being oppressed, so on and so forth. These are conversations that they have, right?
Mhm.
Right, and that's all I'm saying, Tom. So Mercedes, let's say this white person is saying like, "Hey, I think Trump's going to make America great again." You know, push white men forward, yada yada yada. You know, that's the vibe. You know, how are you going to be able to combat that?
What?
What
I,
type of
dude,
rhetoric
dude,
are you
dude,
going
dude,
to
dude.
claim?
I don't know why you're asking her these questions. Like, why would she have to answer this for you?
Well,
I
you
don't
can pipe
think
down.
that
This isn't your
you
conversation.
are going to sit here and
Tom.
tell her, no, this is really how to
There's the
convince
crash.
MAGA
Tom,
guys.
to be
I
fair,
know
I'm
how to
being
do it.
Tom.
I'm the one who understands
Tom.
You're
convincing
turning
MAGA.
red.
Allie
I'm
and
only
Meadow
saying
and
Tom.
Jaden, they're the convincing
Tom.
MAGA experts
Right, what are
over
you
here.
doing?
What
Tom.
you know what, MAGA?
Tom,
You need to
Tom.
deconstruct your racism. That's what
Tom,
you
I'm
need to
not-
do. You need to understand your
Tom. I
I like how
whiteness.
you
I don't
haven't
say
You
that.
need to
listened
Those
recognize
words
your
never came out of my
privilege.
mouth.
Tom,
You need to sit
wait,
down
wait,
and
You're
shut
not
up
listening.
and listen to black
Stop
women.
looking at me
That's
with
what
those
you
Yeah,
eyes.
you
need
know,
to
that's
do.
exactly how I talk to my students.
Tom,
Yeah.
I
I
really
I
do-
100%
Yeah,
believe
see,
it.
Tom,
I
like
think
the
that's
fact that you
exactly what you guys
characterize
do.
our approach to this
Wait,
as the
hold
way
on.
that you're
I
doing.
think that was weird, Tom. To be realistic, wait. Hold on, Tom. I think that was really weird of you to do because admittedly, Mercedes literally said that she has a great fucking vibe, right? Amazing vibe, and she's gonna be
I have
able
a
to talk to
great
these
vibe.
people. I'm only asking her in regarding to that. I'm not trying to do this weird haha gotcha. I want to be the leader.
I
That's
said this in
fucking weird.
response to people
I'm
saying
asking
she
for
doesn't
her-
have a vibe that would be convincing. That's what I just
No,
responded.
that's not
Well,
what
she
we're
does.
saying.
I'm saying
Say that
that you
either.
don't have
The
it.
lifelong leftists.
God damn it! Listen,
Tom, that's
my
not
bad.
what we're saying. Nobody
That is
said
literally
that.
what
I'm not
Jaden
talking
just
about-
said. That is literally
We're
what
not-
Jaden just
Okay,
said.
sorry. I'm sorry. Jaden did
Okay,
talk
to
about
be
her
fair,
vibe.
I didn't say that,
I was
and I was the one to
asking-
ask the question. To be fair, Tom, I was the one to ask the question. I didn't say that. But
Sure,
no,
but
no,
that's
I'm
what
just-
I
I'm
was
just
responding
saying,
to.
Mercedes-
But go ahead.
Okay,
So I'm
that's
sorry.
fine.
Okay, well, there's 2
You're-
other people in the
Can she
conversation.
can she
Yeah.
engage really quickly before we pivot?
Sorry,
Like,
yeah.
I do apologize, Mercedes. Let me ask you again. You know, you said you're going off of vibes.
Excuse me?
You guys want to hear about my vibes?
No, we want to
By
hear
all
about how
means.
you're going to vibe out with a white with a white Republican that wants to vote for Trump in 2028.
I'd take them fishing first.
Oh my fucking god!
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah. We'd probably go fishing first, yeah.
Okay, next.
And then we
Not
could
even
talk
for
about
steak? That's crazy.
fishing over steak.
Just get past that. What happens
Fishing
next?
over steak.
Geek,
And
don't.
You guys know the vibes.
I don't want to bring that up again, please.
Okay, what happens after the fishing?
Well, we'd just be friends. We'd talk about the fishing. We'd probably go on another fishing trip, and we'd.
Okay, past the fishing point, at some
This is
point
just
you're
like
going to need to
her daily
convince them
life,
to
I
come
know.
over to the left.
Yeah, by showing them the proper vibes. You'd be like, I have these vibes. You have
Right,
these
and if they
vibes.
disagree, they're going to say, okay, well, that's cool. I'm still going to vote the way I do. Then what? Have you thought that far?
But
Then
my
that's that.
vibes
What
are
do you
gonna
I
be
mean,
all-
that happens.
So the point
Nobody is
yeah, the
denying
point
that
is-
food is a great way to start from
No,
somebody.
fishing
being
is not.
familiar
No,
with you.
fishing. Oh my God.
You
Fishing
know who
is
else
an
helped
activity.
people with food?
No, this is an activity, guys. Fishing.
No. Well, to be fair, I mean,
Sorry,
I'm
just
also a
historical
very
fact.
Like going out for like fish and chips.
yeah. No. I'm also
We're
a
talking about
country
going
girl.
fishing.
I'm also a
Jesus
country girl. My
Christ.
dad would.
Ended up
Fair Mercedes,
being
I understand what
genocided.
you're saying. You typically what we
know
do,
that.
us country girls will really go out, get some fish, right, and then literally we'll go back home, literally and cook it up. I'm very familiar with that. That's typically what you do. That's why you would go fishing is to cook dinner that very night. So that's why. So if you're going fishing and you're going to cook them this fish, right? I'm asking you, how would that conversation go? Let's say they bring this up to you like first.
Am I supposed to like do like a two? Do you want me to like do two different accents here, like MAGA and?
Yeah, let's do it. No, how about
actually,
I
yeah,
do
let's
that?
How about I do
You be
that?
you.
Well, you guys
Or
could be
Jaden, you
MAGA
better,
if you're
Jaden.
never
I'll
MAGA.
do
Wait,
it.
actually, let's get
You
Tom.
guys- I
Let's
don't
get
think you guys
Tom
could
to come in
imagine-
here.
No, I'm an actor. I'll do the part.
Yeah, let Jaden do it.
Okay, what do you think if we were going fishing? What do you think the first thing a MAGA person would say is?
Well, what kind of rod are you using?
A bait
What
can.
kind of bait we got?
Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad, Jaden.
All right. Cast off.
No one says that.
I don't know.
That was good,
No
though. That was
fish.
good. It was good. It was good.
Let's skip to the part of the conversation being brought up.
Why?
Fish on
Why?
would've been-
Why? Can I get why? Why? Why?
Well,
In all
Mercedes is so
honesty,
certain
Tom, to
that
be
this
fair-
is effective.
Yes, because I flipped people. I literally flipping people. It happens all the time. People are just like, wow, Mercedes, you know, I see that you got 230 pump actions crossing your profile picture over on Instagram. You're fishing and hunting, and you vote left. And they're like, I didn't even know this was a goddamn thing. You fucking turn wrenches and you fucking ranch cattle. Holy shit. You drive this many diesels? Oh my God, you're just one of us. You're MAGA coded as fuck.
But wait, hold on one second, Mercedes. Let me
How is that
clarify.
flipping people?
I want to make sure I understand
Culture.
this.
I
You're
keep trying to
saying
explain to you guys that people, I think you severely underestimate how many people vote based solely off of culture.
just to clarify, you're saying your vibe is so fucking cool that just
No,
by
it's
talking
not
to you and
folk.
going
It's
fishing,
not a city folk vibe.
they are going to vote
Okay.
Okay,
Right.
I do have a question that's
What's the
essential to
symmetry
vibes real
break
quick.
there?
That could be an outcome for sure.
Mercedes.
How will it be an outcome?
no.
Explain in practical terms. Please
I don't
be
know, I feel like
specific.
he's joking,
Be
y'all.
detailed. Give some kind of comprehensive, articulate, goddamn explanation as to how.
It's called befriending. If you want me to be able to explain to you how, like, a year-long friendship, investment of time into someone to
You're gonna
get them to
become
actually
friends?
understand. Yes, I want to befriend these
No,
people.
I'm saying, but like you guys are planning on going to like a school.
My
somewhere, right?
approach. My approach when I go to the school. So, for example, all of us have our different approaches. Each creator has a
Yeah, of
different
course,
approach.
of course.
My approach is to make sandwiches, turkey and cheese. We're gonna throw some Doritos in a bag with some lemonade pouches and or Crystal Light in a fucking water bottle, and I'm gonna go pass these out to all the MAGA people. And I'm
Wow,
gonna,
that makes me want to upend years of systemic racism.
yeah, it will. It's literally called.
Who has that worked on?
Are you just trying to get your like foot in the door by just
Wait, she can't up in systemic racism. She just got. Never mind.
Well, I
Okay.
know.
I'm gonna tackle it with these turkey and cheese sandwiches, man.
And then what? There has to be something that. Okay, you have the A part. We're
creating a
looking
vibe.
for what bridges the gap
She said
from B to
Kool-Aid. Y'all want some
C,
fried- No,
which is
no,
getting them to vote for the left.
Yeah, creating an environment. For example, like the amount of people who messaged me on the last live, the live of the century that happened, whatever, how many days ago, messaged me and they're like, "Wow, Mercedes, I am a MAGA person, but I've decided to follow you now because you don't seem like a crazy leftist." And I said, "You're welcome here." And then
That's the thing. They view you as tolerable. They
Yes.
view you as the one example that doesn't make them any
think
more
that is
likely
the
to
point,
vote
to
this
be
way.
fair.
I view myself.
Yes,
as
they
tolerable
view you
too,
as
and I view
palatable for
I view
MAGA.
people like
Wait,
me.
but that's my thing, Mercedes.
That's
At what-
bad. That's
Mercedes,
like
at-
being the one black person white people like.
No, it's. I think.
Oh
you
my
guys should
goodness.
create
Yeah, I
a
can't.
space
Like,
that
I'm
is
sorry. This is
Mercedes,
this is
what?
ridiculous
Shut
because
up,
yes,
Tom.
this
That
is
is an
this is
exemplary
insane.
model
Because
for you there.
no,
I
it
don't think
doesn't
it's
like
insane. I
there's
do have a really
literally
good question now.
I literally I don't understand why this even matters. Like if she thinks
Because
that
I
this is
wanna-
gonna work
Because she
and
is
you don't
trying
think
to
it's gonna
propel
work,
herself
okay,
to the
that's fine.
fact that y'all
You
don't
disagree.
understand just
Show
shows
me
the
when
lack
it
of
has.
education.
We all agreed at the beginning, right? When
Well,
I
I've had
talked
that.
about the fact that like representation is something that convinces people that somebody liking somebody is the thing that like first gets them in the door to be able to hear them
Right,
out and
it's a
hear what
step
they
in,
think.
sure.
Yes, that is, and then that person just saying, "This is why I voted for Democrats." Like that is how it normally works. That is how these things
we're
normally
not-
change.
so no, just to
In
clarify,
individual,
so
I
there's
just
some
want to
type
say,
of
in
confusion here then.
individual circumstances, obviously, when it comes to like going on a campus and talking to a ton of people, that's not something that's going to work. But there is no like system where we can say, I will stand in front of a crowd and I will say this coded, and then everybody will know that Democrats are so much better, and I'll put up, down, ABA,
no, we're
and
not
now.
saying that either. To be fair, I don't know. Maybe you're not, Tom. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think you're listening.
I don't think
Obviously, we were being very extra with the whole "let's go fishing" shit. Okay, that's fine.
No,
guys
she
are-
I don't
suggested
think we
that.
were. I think that was
We are-
exactly what I was
but
doing.
we
that's
are
what she wanted to
agreeing.
do.
But to be fair, she brought this. But to be fair, she brought it up.
Hold on. Let Ali finish.
Wait,
Hold on. Let
Mercedes,
Ali
calm down,
finish.
calm down. Yeah. I just wanted to clarify. We already agree. This is like Jaden just literally said, "Hey, this is like a step in the door." Okay, that's great. That's fine. That's dandy. We already agree with that, right? all we're saying is, okay, so what's your next move? That's all. That's quite literally it, Tom.
Yeah,
Like, I don't
Yes,
understand
but
how this is a bad thing
but
to
we have
say.
said numerous times that like if she just says why she voted for Dems and what made her change her mind or what makes her believe these things, like that is about it. Like it just makes it more acceptable to them. These people do the work by themselves most of the time. When I switched from being a Republican to a Democrat, like most of that was me sitting and thinking about these things by myself and trying to realize, oh, maybe I do think something different than I've always believed. Like maybe this is correct.
Let's think about it, right? Actually, Mercedes, if you don't mind, I'm going to use you as an example, right? You said you kind of engaged with Dean's debates, and you're like, oh,
Destiny was like, okay, let me clarify. Let's clarify this real quick. Destiny's the first one to break through my algorithm.
Okay.
Now, Destiny is one of those debaters. Top fucking respect that guy. Like
he's crazy ableist.
We attribute him to probably more fucking
also dealing with sexuality.
It's too woke. Don't say that, Jada.
Yeah, he committed an act of revenge porn.
Hold on, here we go.
Here we go. He is not a model citizen. He committed revenge porn.
It doesn't matter. She's telling you what convinced her. It doesn't matter.
It does matter.
It doesn't matter.
You're using him as an example.
Oh my goodness! It is. She is giving you a historical. She's telling you what happened.
Character flaws and literal crimes.
It doesn't matter.
Need to be decried.
It doesn't fucking matter.
Cancel culture.
It doesn't matter.
It's accountability.
Nobody's saying anything about cancel culture. All that matters is she's telling you what changed her mind. The fact that she's explaining to you what changed her mind, yet you're sitting here as the person who's supposed to know what changes people's minds. Yet she's just telling you a historical fact of what changed her mind.
Her mind hasn't been changed. She's still a conservative.
Okay, maybe she's still a conservative. She voted for Democrats.
Yes, because
like that is the point.
Trying to take the mantle of what is the new left. You're a conservative. You're not. If anything, I'd argue you're more susceptible to being converted back to MAGA than you are any MAGA coming over here.
Just to be clear, I don't believe in this idea of the new left. I don't believe in this. I think that the type of liberal that I am, the type of liberal that Destiny is, the type of liberal that most of us are, I think that's by far the majority of liberals and Democrats already. I don't think it's new. I think it's just getting them, involved.
I think the issue is that you guys are a lot of liberals nowadays are grew up on YouTube are just stuck in their ways of believing that there's a very strict view of how we should deal with things when realistically society has changed. The way that we actually talk about things like racism, like gender, so on and so forth has changed. And I'm not understanding why you guys can't get with the program. But nevertheless, let's actually go back to Mercedes.
I'm trying to explain. Okay,
yeah,
so before you guys speak about Destiny, so you guys were saying that Dean changed my mind, and Dean came later, right? Watching Destiny debate. Hold on, don't go crazy on me. Watching him debate, I was like, holy shit. This guy just slammed down Adam Calhoun. And I was in a room with Adam Calhoun 3 weeks prior to watching that video. And I was like, holy shit. This was just information that I didn't even hear before. And I took to Google and researched it. And I was like, wow, this guy's fucking right on this. And the thing is about Destiny, it being someone who is a right-wing influencer, the right is scared as fuck of Destiny because of his culture. So because the guy is so anti-politically correct, the right have a name for him. When we talk about him, we call him the Destiny Pipeline. And we joke about how conservatives were getting sucked up the Destiny Pipeline and sent over to the blue side. Because this guy would come in and he had a culture about him that just wasn't politically correct. It appealed to MAGA. He laid down the facts, which even if he was laying down facts or not, half of these people just chose to go follow Destiny simply because they're like, oh, I guess I can agree with the policy, but I really like the culture. And they just flopped over there. You know what I mean? So it's like, for example, Dean, I was watching him debate and that was fine for a while. Now, Dean's debates is not something that I would watch because I'm not that far left. I'm just a liberal. So Destiny is someone I would watch if I wanted to watch a debate, or Tom is I would 100% watch Tom if I wanted to hear a debate that I thought represented more of a cultural shift in a way that wasn't so weaponizing every single identity and using that as a shield.
It's not a cultural shift, okay? He very much still engages in things like ableism, in things like transphobia, in things like misogyny, in things like this red pill bro culture of not zeroing in on when actual actions violate people's consent, that is the culture that resonates with MAGA. This isn't the alternative. No, this is a blue-coded version of just the very thing that they embody. They may see it as slightly more intelligent than what they're used to, but this is exactly the same tenets that we commonly see amongst right-wing streamers and creators. There's no difference.
Yeah,
Same
but that is
side, two
part of the
different sides of the
pipeline,
same
is I
coin.
think what she's saying is that that is part of the pipeline. Like, even people like you guys would be happier that they're at least moving. Like, even I'm happy if somebody stops being a groiper and starts being in MAGA, right? Like, that's at least somewhat of an improvement. Or they stop being MAGA and they become a neocon. Like, these are always improvements moving closer to me. And so you guys talk about people like Destiny, which obviously he's not your ideal character, but he's obviously better than somebody voting for Donald Trump and continuing that
But I
culture.
reject the
Like,
premise that this is a culture shift.
What-
Destiny
what-
does not represent a cultural shift.
cultural shift in what? Because I think she's talking about a cultural shift on TikTok.
Well, that's a
not,
question for Mercedes.
What? Mercedes,
Yeah,
you're
but
talking
you're
about a
right,
cultural
What
shift
culture
on
does he-
TikTok,
What
right?
culture does he shift towards? Right. What does that look like? Because if we're still characterizing things like, and if we're still embodying things like misogyny, like homophobia, like racism, and not willing to call those things out, what does that future culture look like to you?
Like that.
Well, I don't think.
Hello?
Yes, like that. Like
What
what
happened?
you call all of those things, that is the cultural shift. That is what I think the rest of us are talking about, where you
So
guys
ignoring
call,
what I said is the culture that you want.
Wait, why
yes,
is it-
all
It
the
is-
things that
no,
like
no, no, this
yes,
is not-
all of the
this is
things
not-
that
this
you
is not
talk about
beyond
is like
reproach here.
misogyny,
You
all the
do
things you call
use the R
racism,
slur.
transphobia,
Yes, you are
like
an
all those
ableist.
things.
Tom,
Yes,
you
this is
are
what-
in fact an
sure,
ableist. You
sure,
wrote
yes,
a
this is
song
what
that
we're
has
talking
the
about.
R slur in it. Yes, yes,
This
yes,
is what we're
right.
talking about.
And you think it's wrong that I call that out. That's the culture
wrote
that
a
you
song
want.
that
And
had the
I
R
and
slur in
Meadow
it.
and Geek don't.
Okay, yeah, sure, exactly. That is what we're
You know
saying.
you
is that,
did.
yes, we are different. I don't know what you're talking about, but sure, I'll assume that you're correct. I have no idea what you're talking about. When did I write a song?
You'll
I've not-
assume.
Do you want the
I don't
tweet
even-
too?
Correct.
With the
I wrote a
doesn't
song
even
in a
want to
tweet.
hear.
You said, quote, the person who doesn't understand the topic and can't explain their position thinks I'm R slur. And they're a fucking leftist. You have another one on, what was this?
I was
August
asking about a
25th of
song.
last
I
year?
don't
He's not an
disagree that I
R
use the
slur.
R word. I never disagreed that I use the R word. I
Okay,
asked about
that's
a
not my
song.
point. That's not my point. You think that me calling that out is counterintuitive, is counterproductive, and should be the culture moving forward, is not
No.
calling that out.
No, you can call it out. I don't have a problem
Yes,
with
you
you
do.
calling it out. No, I don't. I don't have a problem
Then
with
what do you have a
calling it out.
problem with? Because you decried the fact that I called out racism, misogyny, ableism, and the other isms that have been perpetuated. So what does the culture look like moving forward, if not these difficult conversations and holding people accountable?
It's the vibes, Jaden.
The vibes. Oh yeah, the vibes.
No, again, I don't have a problem with you calling people out for using the R slur. Like, that's not. I don't have a problem with that. I'm saying that when you
Then what do you
say-
have a disagreement with?
Well, I am not ableist because I use the R slur, but I will agree the R slur is
does it
ableist.
make
I
you?
will say that. But I would say that I don't have a bias
I'm not
against
racist just
I'm
because
not
I use
racist
the
because I
N-word.
call black people hard R.
Yeah.
Yes, correct. 100%.
Word,
Yes. 100%.
What?
Make that make sense, please.
100%.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
How
I
can
love
you
that.
not be?
No, I'm getting. No, I'm
100%.
understanding it now. No, I'm getting it.
Tom, please.
I like
I
this.
really
Yeah,
don't.
this is
I
a
really,
good idea.
Can you stop? So sorry, not Tom. Can we please get back to Mercedes answering the culture shift herself, Tom, if you don't mind? I
We
know
can
like
get
you're
back to that
jumping
in a
in here,
moment.
but I would love to hear about why she's not like sitting back and letting you answer everything, Tom. Like I understand she thinks that you're this great debater, and that's perfect. But at the same time, once again, she's going to be out with these people. She should probably know how to answer this stuff. To be fair, can she engage with that real quick?
She can't. And neither can you, Tom. You are intellectually dishonest and incapable of having these complex and difficult conversations moving forward. I don't know what the future of your streaming platform looks like. I wish you the best of success and probably
you're
many
retarded.
donations too. You've gotten a few tonight. But if you're trying to change the culture, then I can guarantee you will be nothing but an unequivocal failure.
Okay.
Oh no.
Mercedes, can you answer the question now? We've been waiting, honestly. That's why Tom spoke up. Like, I think Tom just spoke because you were quiet, to be fair. So
I got like one more question before I like go to bed. So
yeah.
let's like speed this up.
What is the culture shift look like to you, Mercedes? You said like that's what you said in your own words. So what does that mean and what does that look like?
Yeah, so I think a cultural shift to me would look like being able to have conversations with people, disagreeing in those conversations. Maybe people start like arguing a little bit, right? And it doesn't turn into a weaponization of someone's identity when we're just having like conversations that have nothing to do with anyone's identity. I'd say a good cultural shift would be, I don't know, you know, just like being able to say what you want without getting policed constantly if you as a person aren't that thing. Like, I think we're using our words, like racism is doing heavy lifting in the leftist spaces against people who aren't even actually racist.
Wait, so is it not apt of me to call out ableism when somebody uses the R slur to describe people?
What is
Okay, never mind. Never mind. Why don't we even ask you questions? I mean, you're not capable of having these conversations with, let alone me.
I'm trying to formulate, like, because I guess, like, for me, like, I personally, you know, like, okay, so if Tom were to say it, it doesn't bother me. Or like if
it doesn't bother you, I know. It bothers people who have a disability.
I know.
It bothers me.
I'm pretty sure Trump signed an executive order that says we're allowed to use the R word now.
Okay, so if a black person
What are you
says
saying,
it's
Tom?
okay to like say the hard R, it's just cool.
I think he's trying to make a joke. Ignore him. With that
Don't
being
ever
said,
try comedy.
With that being said,
You
Mercedes,
are very bad at it, I will say. I've seen some of.
I'm not trying to impress you guys. I
mean?
promise. You guys are
We'll work
not
on
people
that,
that I'm
buddy.
working.
It's not that hard to be funny.
Quit your day job.
So sorry, y'all. Can we ask Mercedes what the heck she meant by like actual racism? If you don't mind, since she said it, I'm actually just curious. I'm like,
I've accepted the fact that I'm never going to bed, so I guess we're good.
You guys will like, you know, you will take someone like Shiloh Hendrix, and then you'll take someone like Z, and you'll put them in the same category, and you'll give them the same exact public response.
Who's Shiloh Hendrix, y'all?
I don't know who the fuck that is.
Yeah, okay.
What is
I was like,
that?
what the fuck is Shiloh Hendrix? I apologize, Mercedes. I don't know how old you are, but I'm very young and
Shiloh Hendrix was the
don't know who that is.
woman who called a
okay.
The child.
Yeah, that's yeah.
So you're okay.
No.
Mercedes, it sounds like I understand now. You're saying racism is slurring. Racism is not microaggression, right?
What I'm saying is like
Typically call races by name.
For example,
say that racist lady. Who called
no, for example, the internet wants to say that, oh, Mercedes, you're a racist because Ray came up in a live, right? He comes up in this live, and this is someone who, you know, working on the sidelines to try to make him have just kind of start realizing some things and whatnot, having phone calls with him, you know, treating him like a fellow human, right? And it's one of those things that he comes up in this live. And
let's not use him as never mind. Go ahead. Never mind.
Well, what I'm saying is he comes up in this live and he plays a video, right? And we're all watching this video. I'm extremely uncomfortable as this video is playing. Now,
is that what we call?
I'm extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And people are like,
comfortable as in laughing or and
but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like basic psychology, you just go do a Google search on it. When people are extremely uncomfortable,
you know what psychology is.
I'm heavily breathing and like I look like the most uncomfortable person.
Poor you.
Even some of the leftists that I've talked to behind the scenes were like, yeah, I can actually tell you were just uncomfortable. And I'm like, oh, well, thank you. You know,
I've never seen somebody tokenize a leftist.
But what I'm saying is, this right there.
That was new. That was a joke. Calm down.
Tokenizing a leftist, it's like
that was a joke. Calm down.
That's the culture. That's the culture that I mean, like where we take things and we tokenize.
So was the video racist or not?
Yes, the video was. What I'm saying.
Okay, then what's the culture that you're decrying here?
The culture is to sit there and be like, oh, Mercedes is a racist for feeling uncomfortable by the live, and we are going to do this moment where we zoom in
Who
on
in
their
the
face.
fuck said that? Don't ever imitate black people.
No, there
Don't
were a
ever
bunch of
imitate
people
how
who
black
were
people
in my
responded to
chat.
that. No,
There were a
no,
bunch of
no, no,
people
no, no,
afterwards
no,
who
no,
were
don't
in my
strawman
chat
us.
saying,
Don't
hold on,
characterize it the way that you
hold on. There were a bunch of people who were in my
just
chat
did that.
afterwards saying that she was racist for having him on the live. I didn't say anything about black people. I don't know if they were black or white, but there were a bunch of people who.
She was laughing at it.
No, but I'm saying there were people who were saying she was racist for having him on the live, and then when I said how, they said, well, did you not see the video that he played? There were numerous people in my chat right after saying this.
I agree, sure. But yeah, two different things. But realistically, let's be honest, though, and I hate to say it, anybody could probably look at you, Mercedes, while that video was playing and go like, is she smirking? Is she
Can you let
laughing?
Naquan up, please?
And I don't know why. Like, I understand that makes you uncomfortable because you probably don't think, like, you don't deem yourself to be racist, which you are, by the way. You don't deem yourself to be racist, and that's fine, right? However, realistically, when we're talking about this, even basic psychology, you have to realize that people are going to be like, oh, okay, so it seems like Mercedes thinks this like monkey joke about a black man is racist. Like, they think this is funny.
Well, you
Like,
think
I'm
that,
just
you think
saying.
the left.
Since we're talking about basic psychology and
the
all.
left who prides themselves on nuance and you know Google, you know,
You have none.
the leftists who pride themselves on nuance.
But you don't pride yourself on nuance?
I'm not
Nuance
talking
and
about me.
Google?
The left
Google?
who prides themselves on using nuance and logic, and Google could not deduce from a and you guys didn't even like. It's like you guys chose not to watch the rest of the live. Where I'm the one who
I was in the box an hour and a half.
hold on.
A lot of us were in there
Remember how you
watching.
said I'd be
Both of them were in
disruptive
the box.
and unproductive?
1 second. Just be quiet for 1 second.
Okay,
I'm
I'll
the
shut
one who
up.
dropped Ray Ray, for one. I'm the one who dropped Ray Ray. That
The
was
bare
nitpick.
minimum.
That was nitpick. The fact that I said Zombie wanted to engage with him, so we let Zombie engage with him. That was nitpicked because apparently we didn't let him. We let him engage too much. Then we didn't let him engage enough. My response of being uncomfortable, even though I said, "Hey, dude, this was racist. This was not okay." Even though I said that on the live, you guys, it's not good enough for you, and that you guys go to nitpicking.
Oh no! I don't have my
When it comes down to nitpicking facial expressions, that is the culture on the left. That can
It's
go
not a culture. That's not a culture. That's psychology. Can you let in Naquan, please?
Oh
my
goodness,
issue,
no.
Mercedes.
Oh my goodness, no. Why not?
I
needs
was, oh my
another
goodness to your
person there to
statement,
defend
and then no, yeah, I'm trying to like I was hoping this was gonna wrap up at some point and then move on
Yeah.
to other people.
Okay,
but
he can take my spot if
mean-
you like. Is that better? I think he deserves a spot at the conversation here.
why?
I don't know who Naquan is, but I don't really. That's fine. Whatever.
Because your viewers want that.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of them are wanting.
This
But-
is a show, right? Like, I mean, put on a show.
Yeah, no. If you don't mind, Mercedes, I don't. I don't.
Why you got so much attention on me? Like, why am I the
Honey,
Because
you are the
you have
person that
appointed yourself to a position
Yes.
To be
of...
fair,
I'm not in a position of power just because I'm like the fault. I am.
Nobody
Never
is saying
said
that
power.
you are.
Just because I'm
one of
responsible
the
for making
creators-
people switch over to my side doesn't mean I have to explain
Just
why people
because
are
I'm
switching
a
over to my
creator
side.
on this tour.
I'm
you
not
guys
trying to
understand
put you
your
on the
sensitivity.
spotlight, Mercedes, but to be fair, you did come up here and say that you want to be a part of this movement to
Yes,
like
I'm a
change
part of this
minds.
movement, but you guys
and-
are acting like this whole entire thing is the Mercedes show. Like this
No,
is
no,
No,
well,
I'm
we're
not.
trying
Then why are
to,
you up
to be
here?
fair. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we're
Why are
not
you talking to
trying
us?
to. It's just that you are one of the people that are going to be on this tour. I feel like
Why are you
I don't-
talking to us then?
I'm not
Like,
sure.
I feel like we're being like kind of respectful. I don't know.
You guys are being bad, but it's just like it's a cultural. I'm excited.
You can be
for-
excited. Yeah,
Can I
think-
not?
You guys, I say one word and you guys just go. I'm
Well, because
I mean,
you've
to
kind of
be
been
fair-
talking, and
Oh
I've been
my
trying
God,
to
I
ask
don't
you
know
a
that.
question.
Wait,
Oh
to
my
be
God.
fair, Mercedes, that's disingenuous. You've interrupted Jaden multiple times, me
This is-
multiple
it's been a-
times.
it's been a-
So
it's been a fest for sure. What I'm
Okay,
saying,
go ahead.
what I'm saying is, you guys have a culture on the left that you guys enjoy, and I think that is great. And I think you guys do great work, and I think you guys do an awesome job at educating the people who want to further their education and this and that. And I think that it's a great place that you guys have in this movement. I think it's amazing. I'm glad you guys are doing that. What I can't understand is those of I think the majority of the left, if you will, or the liberals or whatever, there's a large portion of liberals who just want it, just have normal, I don't know, conversations without it turning into this constant policing. And they are very underrepresented. And I just feel like you guys are scared for that representation to finally flood through. And I think maybe, I don't know if you're scared because you don't want the culture to change. You guys want it to continue to move further left, which is fine. And that's
No.
okay, but
No.
you want
Mercedes,
to
you don't want the
Hold on,
culture to
hold on,
change.
hold on,
No,
hold
you
on.
were asked point blank on the spectrum of racism and deconstructing
want the
racism.
culture to
Your
change.
answer to that
You do not
was
want the
your
culture to
answer to
change.
that was I'm a moderate.
Yes.
You cannot definitively
Yes.
decide whether or not you're anti-racist
want
or racist.
culture.
Wait, that's not. No,
Fascism
no, no,
is
no. Hold on, wait,
paved
wait.
with
That's not what she
centrists.
was saying. She's saying that the like you guys again.
What
You
does
guys
that
have
mean?
different
She said that on
values.
her live, to
For,
be fair,
yes,
Tom.
I know. But she like what she said there was taken totally like in a different way than what she was saying. I would say the same exact thing.
Okay,
You guys
contextualize it.
believe things. You guys
That's why
have
you're
very
fucking
different
wrong.
values from us. Yes, and so exactly, you think that we're wrong, and so at the point that we would say like
Yes.
somebody should
What
deconstruct
difference
the
of values
racism,
is it to
and
say
when they get to a
anti-racist
point,
versus
and where they
racist?
when they get to a point where we think like, yeah, this is somewhere where somebody is like they've learned a lot, they're working on it, they're progressing, like that is a very different point than you guys would think, and so we're going to have very different lines from you guys. And so when she says I'm a moderate, she's saying you guys may have your lines and what you think is good or bad, but I'm obviously a moderate. I'm going to draw my lines in different places. You guys
What does
don't
that
have much of a
mean?
say.
Are
What do you
you
mean?
for
What does it mean?
racism or are you for
You just went
deconstructing it?
over, yeah. So you just went over a bunch of problems that you had with somebody
When
like
you
Destiny,
say I'm
right?
a moderate,
and
that doesn't
you were
answer
going over,
anything.
you went over problems that you had with Destiny. You went over problems that you had with the things that I say, but I would
All
not
of
say
those
that
were
Destiny is
valid and have legal
misogynist, the
complaints.
sexist, the
There's a legal
racist, the
complaint under his
transphobe,
name.
any of those things. And so, so what? There that doesn't mean anything.
How are you a
The
credible
point,
arbiter, Tom? How are you a credible arbiter of all these isms if you yourself perpetuate them? I mean, you said
exactly.
using the R
No,
slur
see,
isn't ableist.
exactly. This is what we're saying is that yes,
Exactly
you
what?
have very different lines than us. So when you're saying that I am
What's the
perpetuating
line
these
for
things,
you?
yet
What
I
is
would
the
disagree,
line?
or you say Destiny does these things, yet we disagree.
my line would be
Obviously,
voting for
we're drawing our lines
Yes,
in very different
objectively
places.
sharing other people's nudes is illegal and wrong.
Correct.
We're just
That's
okay.
it. That's
So
it. I don't know. That had nothing to
Then
do with
what
what you just said. That had literally nothing to do with
do
anything that I
liberals
just
or
said.
You have an
moderates not
issue
have a
with me
line?
calling that out. You said he's not a misogynist.
No,
Yes,
I
those
didn't. No,
actions are.
Hold on. Wait. Hold on. Stop. You're doing it again. I brought up
his
like
brain is
5
hurting.
different things.
I can see what's on
yes,
his mind,
my
literally.
brain is hurting
I think this
because
is
you're a
working,
fucking
yes.
idiot, dude. But this
Because
is
I'm making too much sense, Tom, and you don't have a retort.
to retards probably. But my problem is that
What
you
the
keep
fuck
saying
is wrong
things
with you?
like
Of
like
course.
that he's
Did
racist,
you
he's
hear that?
sexist, he's misogynist,
Great job,
he's a
Tom.
transphobe.
Yeah,
You're
All
doing
You
right,
a
say
great
all
job.
of these things.
I think this is a
You
good
say
time
all
to
of these
stop
things.
talking, Tom.
And then
I'm turning
you-
my microphone
hold
all
on.
the way up, Tom. We heard
yeah,
it loud
go
and
ahead.
clearly. You said it with your full chest. You don't actually care. You are ill-equipped to have conversations of what is or isn't racist, ableist, misogynist, etc., because you uphold it. You are an ableist. You are a racist. You
Right,
are a
that's it,
misogynist.
exactly.
I'll
This
finish
is my
with
point.
that. Yes, stay the fuck out of this discourse forever. Go back to fucking gaming.
We're coming.
No, the fuck you're not.
Mercedes, I don't think you should speak up. Honestly, girly pop. Let's talk about the leftists, right? In regards to vibes, the vibe is infinity genders. Let's say that's the vibe, right? Because you made that joke earlier or a few days ago. It is what it is. Let's say this is the vibe. So that is quote unquote part of policy. Leftists are trying to push out, hey, leave people alone, let them be she, her, they, them, these, them, whatever. Okay, that's the quote unquote vibe that Mercedes is referring to. So if they go to the right wing, it's just like, hey, we're actually trying to restrict that. We don't want that in our spaces. Like, and I want that. Okay, that's great. Right? That's the reason why they went over to this more right-winged place. Not because of necessarily vibe. I know she keeps on saying that, but because of policies they don't actually agree with. At least that's a big part of it. So if Mercedes is trying to convince somebody to go off of vibe, aka policy, to vote blue within the near future, then she would have to understand the policies itself to stay within for this person to quote unquote stay within the the blue voters. It wouldn't make any sense for her to only go off of vibes itself if she's not able to quote unquote explain the vibe. That's stupid. You would have to be able to explain the vibe.
What do you
You would
mean?
have to be able to expound on the
explain the
quote-unquote
vibe. Like she, when she says like MAGA coded, you're asking her to explain what that means to be like.
She said vibe ecosystem. So she stated vibe ecosystem. We're obviously talking about she's talking about some type of culture here, right? The culture on the left is like, hey, affinity genders, hey, free healthcare, hey, socialism, hey, yada
Well, that's
yada.
not her, but I think it's important to establish, like, Mercedes, you said that you no longer, well, I don't know if you're still engaging, but that you no longer need to deconstruct since you're moderate. So like your vibe is like, you said still like kind of in community with MAGA, but like what would be like the values, like the morals that you hold, the policies that you would agree with
Well, it's
that are not MAGA vibes?
when I say like in community with MAGA, I think like I said, I don't I think that's not exactly what I'm trying. What I'm trying to
Let's not focus on that. You just said like
yeah.
fishing, talking, conversations.
What
What are the
it's an internet like
policies?
it's not even a like for example it's an existence of a space in which people can
Yes, I
gather
understand that.
hold on,
But that's not my
be
issue.
themselves. So like for example,
Let me be
hold
clear,
on, hold on.
Mercedes. I think you're more
One of my
educated.
goals. One of my goals would be
Okay.
to have a platform. Turn the platforms that I have now into a space in which people who are on the fence, the swing voters, flock to like butter because they're like, you know what? This chick gets it. She's not going to police me. She obviously cares about the middle class. She obviously is trying to present policies because at the end of the day, yeah, I can present policies. I understand presenting policies to these people in order to get them like to if they want to talk policy, we can talk policy, that's fine. But the majority of people I am going after because I have a strength in this is vibes. Like if we have
what does that mean to you, if you don't mind? I think that would actually I realized that we haven't asked that.
I'm trying to ask what the
I don't
well,
remember.
to her best ability. If we keep asking, it's just not really gonna go anywhere. What can you just tell me like about some policies that like you may have voted for that
anybody tell me what her
you advocate for, because you keep saying like she cares about the middle class.
Free healthcare, free college. I want the homeless to be a lot more taken care of. What's something else that I like? I like maybe like more money for the school lunches. I think welfare is great. I think what else? Global warming is important, and I think we gotta save the planet, save the turtles.
You don't think those vibes are like too woke?
No, that's what I'm trying to explain to you. There's a lot of people who have these beliefs and values, but they don't.
No, I know. I think they have them based on the vibes. Like I think that.
No. I think there's a lot of people who actually even like these values, but they're, for example, half of the conservatives. I don't even think they like the policy that they vote for. Either they don't understand it, or it's detrimental to them and it keeps affecting them year after year, election after election, whatever. But they won't recognize it because they'd rather take $7.25 minimum wage than come over to a space that is policing their language constantly. Or
7.25 is insane.
Okay, so we have been looping for a minute. I wanted to ask real quick, just real quick. Ryan, Ryan, did you have something that you were trying to like bridge something?
Up. Whoever that is, let Naquan up, please.
Ryan, did you have were you trying to
Is my mic working?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, sorry. I guess, well, I was just listening to this and it kind of feels like there's like a false dichotomy going on here, because I feel like political movements are a mixture of rhetoric and education. Like the vibes are important. If you want your political movement to draw more people over to your side, you have to have an attractive vibe. That is true. But then once you draw people over to your side, you then have to educate them so that they get a deeper understanding of what the actual policies are, or what we actually stand for, like value-wise. So I guess I'm not understanding why this is even an argument. I feel like both are important.
Yes,
agreed.
So one of us is not arguing for both. Maybe if you were like listening, that
no, it's not that
helped.
it's not that one's not arguing for both. It's I'm arguing.
Well, I mean, you are, to be fair.
No, you're not understanding. It's like you think that I'm the only person ushering in the vibes. It's like if
I never said that.
Oh my god, just don't.
We're the only person we're talking to, Mercedes. Can you stop doing that?
Hold up. What I'm telling you is, when you sit here and say, Mercedes, it is your job to go into these spaces, and what I want you to do is I want you to bring the vibes. After you bring the vibes, you're going to bring them education. What I'm saying is that if I am a part of a multifaceted machine, there's multiple parts in this machine to make it work. If my part is to bond with these people and bring them over here and create an environment that ushers in the vibes, that doesn't mean that the person on my left or the person on my right or like the person in my vicinity or other people in this space cannot usher in the education, that cannot take the time. For example, like if I'm going into a space where we got pretend to have a debate or someone who's got like masters in economics, who knows, whatever next week. If they go off and they take care of the people who they also bring vibes and education, that's fine, and they go educate these people and they bring them the vibes, and that's great. They can do that. That's not to say it's not saying that what I am doing will not come with education. What I'm saying is, with the time and energy that I have and what I can specialize it in, is the people who aren't educated. The only
Okay,
people,
Mercedes, I think they got it at this point. I like that is what everybody has said numerous times, is that like she's doing a vibes thing, she's focusing on that, she thinks that that's somewhere where she would be useful, and then other people would be able to educate. That is like a normal part of movements and trying to get people.
It's kind of like it's like on YouTube, like you have people who do debates, and then you have people who make video essays, and I think each of these have their pros and cons to them. I think that debates can be a good way to, I guess,
rhetorically convince somebody, whereas video essays will dig into it deeper and give you more of an education.
It could convert someone by humiliating like a MAGA person by showing like, oh, this person actually looked like really dumb in this debate. Maybe I should reconsider. But just humiliating people isn't enough to like give a good, fully nuanced view of politics.
Just to
which
clarify,
is why you would then move to the video essays.
Yeah, no, and just to clarify, I feel like, I don't know, maybe I am also speaking the void, maybe Meadow is, and I know we may seem like we're being very like on Mercedes' ass, as we should. I mean, I will say I'm on her ass because I feel like she's not. So what I'm saying is that it would be different if Mercedes was just like, a basic random person on the street that is trying to convince somebody to vote blue. I would get that. I'll be okay, I guess that's understandable. But if she's part of this system of like leadership or like genuinely changing minds, I do think it is important for somebody, if you're bringing somebody in, then you would have to be able to convince them to like be educated on this, or you have to be able to give them more knowledge other than vibes. That's the only thing that at least I've been saying. I think that's the only thing Meadows been like saying as well. But she can. Well, I mean,
yeah.
One last question.
If Mercedes is saying like she doesn't need to do any work to like understand the things that she's trying to promote,
Can I understand enough to talk to them? What I'm saying, it's not what I'm going to focus on.
Yeah.
So like when there's 12 people accomplishing here to accomplish something, and I'm taking on my own position, it doesn't mean that
that is what she said. Yeah, she said.
Yeah.
That.
So who else would you be like in community with that are the educators?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Whoever else is in the group, we have plenty of people in the group who will educate. All of us have our different.
Well, if you don't mind, Mercedes.
Like you said, it takes like a village, sure.
Yeah,
so like, are there
but
different things that people are specializing in? Because it kind of seems like
everyone's specializing in their own things. But I also want to point out, like, I can articulate to MAGA my point.
Yeah, but this entire time you've been avoiding that, so that's not really like what I'm worried about.
I'm telling you, because what I'm saying is I can articulate the policy about the left that I like to MAGA, but what I'm telling you is the people that I'm going after don't even know
don't care about the yeah, I understand that.
You don't know nothing.
I think in order
I would like to like know what the people are like the other people, what are their I'll ask them. That was my last question. I wouldn't say thanks, but
like to be a good political advocate, you should try to educate yourself as much as possible. But I do agree there is this issue sometimes where we're like, oh, you can't help the movement unless you have X, Y, Z. It's like the leftists who are like, you have to have read this theory book before you're allowed to speak on this. And then that can be very pretentious and very alienating. But I do think if your goal is to be a political person on the internet, you should always be trying to broaden your base of knowledge and educate yourself more. Like, would you disagree with that, Mercedes?
No, I don't disagree with that. But what I've been arguing this whole time is that the group of people I'm going after, the education that I have right now in left-wing policy to present to these people will probably be more than they themselves will ever pursue educationally. Like when I'm going after the people who think that they're, munching under 7 miles underneath the White House, the adrenochrome and things like that. Like when you're going after the really QAnon people, okay, like these aren't folk who are going to be like, yes, let me just pick up this book on policy and I'm going to learn about the 3 branches of the government right now, which is like basic shit. They're not even there. And that's what I'm trying to explain to you is like, it's not that
Well,
can't
yeah,
articulate my point
that's
to these people. It's just my
that's how the like alt-right pipeline works, right? Like they bring
Yeah.
someone in with a very baseline thing, and then
Yes.
they slowly funnel them towards more and more,
Joe Rogan, the vibes.
Yeah,
Right,
Joe
and I
Rogan is.
think, and I
Yeah.
agree with that. Just to clarify, I feel like that's like, I don't know. I feel like I've been yelling out to the voids, just like maybe it's just over speaking, talking over each other. But Mercedes, that's what I've been saying this, right? Like, the issue is the multiple times that we asked you, okay, well, like, how are you going to be doing certain things and everything like that? All your answer has been, and you even made a joke about, well, I think my vibe's pretty cool, right? It doesn't seem like you're even like understanding like the actual education of certain things. And just at the beginning of the conversation when you came up, you try to have a little back and forth with Jaden, and unfortunately, I think we can all admit that unfortunately didn't go anywhere because you didn't have the education of certain things that right-winged people voted for or against, right? So it's like you're convincing them to come over. It's like, okay, well then you would have to have some of this knowledge. And the issue is, and you already admitted you don't have that knowledge, and you
What I just
also
said,
admitted
I
a few
literally
days
just said I
ago.
have the knowledge to engage with them about policy. What I'm saying is my target audience
Interesting.
doesn't even know what the three branches of government are. So that's what I'm saying is like the type of people that I would go after is a different type of people than maybe I don't know, Tom, how you feel about that crowd. I don't know if you think they're a lost cause, but they're the type of crowd that I'd be going after because I understand these people. Like I have family members down these pipelines. This isn't it. They're not even on the path of education. The yellow brick road of education is north, and they've gone south 300 miles into La La Land. It's like these people. I understand the educational aspect that you guys are saying, and I think that the people who will transfer over here due to education think things like watching debates, this and that. That's awesome. I love that for them. That's not my target audience, is what I'm saying. So when my little QAnon, folk who I'm trying to convince over here that hey, let's get back to reality and stop thinking that the sky is AI generated. Eventually, we'll be able to get to a point when we start talking about what are the three branches of government. What you're asking me is to a group of people who will never get above like a 5th grade, 6th grade level of education on how they understand things or like policy, and they will not pass further. I mean, we're talking about rural ass America. A lot of these people.
I
Are
kind
you
of
guys
feel like
going
you're
to
under,
rural
I feel
ass
like you're
America
kind of.
though? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
I was just gonna say, I feel like you're kind of underestimating people. Like
I'm talking about my target audience.
Well, wait, but that's the wait,
your target
Mercedes.
audience is
You can't be
only people
talking
who
about
can
your
read at a
target
5th grade level.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Just to clarify, Mercedes, the issue is that it does seem like you are kind of hyper focused on who your target audience is, but you're forgetting you're going to be going on tour, Girly Pop. A lot of people may not even really know you. I mean, you're going to be speaking to thousands of people that may not even be familiar with your work because, I mean, I'm not going to deny you. You do some good work, right? You're going to be speaking to people that don't know who your target audience is, don't know possibly who you are. So how are you going to be able to effectively engage with them? Even if you are trying to go off of your like vibes, your good vibes, I guess.
I can snoop out the QAnonis from a mile away. You can have I can just ask them you can ask them one question and figure out, ask them what they think of the number 7 and you'll get it you'll get to know your vetting really quickly. Like these people, they're not
I think
part of the spot. But those
there's like some
think of it like
there's some there's some truth to what you're saying, but I also think like a lot of times these QAnon types get brought over through seeing like fake studies or fake statistics and those sorts of things by like quack doctors. So I think there is still some validity to trying to do the educational side to these types of people by being like, hey, these statistics or these doctors you've seen are actually not accurate. Let me go into the statistics of what is actually going on here. Like I think I think you might be overestimating a little bit how stupid these people are.
I don't think so. I got like I don't know how to. I spent some time in North Dakota with a significant population of these people. When I tell you that like these people believe that blind pilots are actually flying planes, these people gathered in hordes in Dallas because they thought JFK was still alive. You know what I mean? Like these folk are not. Well, you pull up Google and they will scream if it's not DuckDuckGo, and then you pull up anything on DuckDuckGo that contradicts their belief, and they're having a meltdown and telling you that it was Joe Biden's AI machine or something. These people literally think hurricanes are being, floored at states that they believe that they want to win that are swing during hurricane season. You know, like
Well,
it's
I
just
think
I feel like,
the problem
And you're calling them
she
dumb
just
dumb. That's crazy.
Mercedes just recently like moved over from the right though. Where she just recently like voted for Kamala and has like a passion to try to get other people to do the same thing. I went through this process when I moved over from the right, where a lot of times, right after I moved over, I'm listening to a bunch of people and I'll be on panels with other lefties and they're sitting there talking about how dumb everybody is on the right, how they're all fascist, they're all racist, they're all this, they're all that. And I would sit there and think, oh my goodness, like no wonder it's so hard for everybody else. I always wondered, why did I understand this? Why was I able to see the light? Why was I able to understand the truth and move over? Yet everybody else doesn't see it. Yet it seems so blatantly
because you're
obvious to me
smart.
now.
Yeah, because unironically, I think Mercedes, you're actually kind of giving off a bit of a bad vibe by saying that they're all like too stupid to understand stuff.
Exactly. Like they're
That's
very.
the thing
You're
is,
calling
I
them
wouldn't call them
dumb
stupid.
dumb.
That's the thing is, I wouldn't approach it from a leftist perspective by calling them stupid. Like for
Right.
example, the amount of people.
Are right
Hold
now,
on.
actually.
No, because I'm talking to leftists. I'm not talking to MAGA. The people in the comment section are calling me stupid. The leftists are calling me stupid.
Wait.
I
No,
would
Mercedes.
hold on.
No, it's you
I
calling
hold
them
on.
dumb.
Hold
you
on.
just said that they didn't know.
One second.
Oh,
Hold on. You're not
okay,
even
girl.
listening to what I'm saying. The leftists in the comments are calling me stupid and uneducated. Okay. What I'm saying is, I would never go up to a MAGA person and be like, "You're stupid and uneducated." What I would do is, if it's my target audience, I would establish a friendship because they do not trust anything. They don't trust the internet. They don't even believe the earth is round. They believe the earth is flat. These are people that if you're going to start changing a mind of theirs, you have to have something other than facts because they don't even live in a factual reality, half these people. Now, mind you, I was an ex-conservative influencer, so I gained up like 500,000 followers on a TikTok of these people, 145,000 followers on Instagram of these people, nuked them all 2 months before the election, completely destroyed the accounts, trashed them, threw them in the trash, would turn them into Kamala Harris thirst trap pages before I did that, by the way. And I'll tell you, I know these people like the back of my hand, and it's like you guys can say, yeah, you're underestimating their education. I'm not putting them all in one box. What I'm saying is I'm going after a tiny percentage that I know I can handle because that is a gift that I have, is to have the patience with these people. If I'm talking to one of these people and they're like, look, the moon is AI generated, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, you're a lost cause.
Well,
Fuck
that's
off.
not,
I'm
just to
gonna
be clear, that's not what I was saying. I was more so saying that, like,
No,
when
not
I
you,
first
Tom.
moved over, I'm talking about what Ryan was saying is that when I first moved over, the first thing that I kept thinking, like, I kept trying to wonder is why people actually weren't seeing this. And the first thing that would come to mind was that there was, like, this aesthetic from the left that made it to where other people weren't willing to listen to them, weren't willing to hear them out. And there was a large part of me that thought, man, if I could just talk to these people nicely and talk to them like real humans and not like treat them this way, and they would like know I was them, I was part of them, like this would make a big difference. I feel very differently now after being on the left for a while, but I do still know that it's still a part of it. It is still part of the process, and that the majority of people do make these decisions based on vibes, community. They're like, we all know, I have a bunch of trans mods who talk about the fact that other people, when they first meet them, will be kind of put off by them, but once they get to know them and think of them as like a real person and all these things, that like, they are able to kind of change the way that these people view trans people. And I'm sure it's the same for lots of Black people and the way that they engage with people. And so, yeah, I think that it's going to be part of the process. Yeah.
Well, Tom, if you don't mind me asking, I think you told us before, how long have you been a liberal / leftist or whatever the heck you are?
I mean, I would say a couple of years, 3-4 years, maybe at most.
Right. So you started off kind of like with the same thought process and mindset that Mercedes has, like the Mercedes, right? Engaging with these people in a very nice way, being very patient with them. And then you realize it's like, oh, okay, that's actually kind of not working for me, at least, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're admitting to?
Yeah, I think it's not that simple. It's more so, yeah.
Okay, great. And I agree with you, right? So I think, and maybe I'm gonna give Mercedes a little tiny shoe here, just a little tiny bit, okay? That might be why I'm disagreeing so harshly with your mindset and your thought process, Mercedes, because you haven't been in like a moderate socialist or I'm sorry, I don't. You're a moderate socialist, right? That's what you called yourself last time.
Well, I said my policy is left, and then like I identify as a moderate, like socially. I think I'm just a liberal. So like I think I'm a liberal, but the problem is right now when people view you as a liberal, I'm trying there's a the problem is the vibes. So
are
for
you saying you
someone
have like
me,
conservative economic policy, or what is?
No, I don't have anything conservative. It's just moderately social, meaning.
But why you call yourself moderate then? Would if you were moderate?
Wait, hold on,
Like
wait.
moderate
I need
compared
to
to
I need to
leftists,
understand
or-
this. When you say like,
Yeah, 'cause I'm curious too.
normally when you say social, we're thinking of like social aspects, like you're okay with trans people and gay people, and like you're those sort of like social aspects, right? But I'm lagging so hard. But when you say like socially, then we think, okay, well then, like fiscally, she's going to be conservative. But you just say socially, so I don't. What do you mean socially?
It's so.
You're just a vibes-based moderate.
Policy wise, I'm left, but when it comes to that's like a mosquito repellent. It's because if the left views me as a moderate, then they won't hold me to the purity testing of the left. So
so you're just
okay. So it's an aesthetics thing. Yeah, sure. It's an aesthetics thing.
No.
That makes sense. Okay.
We're going to pretend like 400 people didn't hear that.
No, I'm glad 400
is
people.
a super spy. Pretend like you didn't hear that she called herself moderate.
No. I've said this before. I've said the fact that like I just recently started identifying as a liberal, and I would say all the time. I always called myself a centrist because I did want that ability to not be a liberal, so that I didn't get put in the like, well, what about Hillary box? What about this? But the emails, and like I would call myself a centrist and never take the liberal label because I didn't want to get put in that box.
It's
but
okay.
obviously,
It's okay. I'm not. It's okay. I'm trying to make a joke. I'm trying to tell Mercedes to shut the fuck up so people won't like know what she's doing. Okay. But either way, no. So and that might be why I'm disagreeing with you so harshly, Mercedes, because I do keep on forgetting that you've only been in this movement for like not even a year. It's only been like half a year. And you do have like this mindset of like, I can convince them off my vibes. I think that as long as I'm nice and patient with them, that it'll be okay. And a lot of us that have at least been in the left or liberals, Democrats, whatever the case may be, for years, just think differently. We're forgetting that the Democratic, movement kind of started off more moderate than than like far left. We're forgetting that they actually did were very tolerable towards the right winged people and towards red voters and everything, right? So it's kind of like it's a hard conversation to have when you are talking about, hey, I just want to be nice to them, hopefully be patient, maybe coddle them just a little bit so they can hopefully, come on our side. It's hard to hear that from somebody that has been a part of this movement for years. By the way, Tom, I'm actually going to go and dip, but please let up CJX. He says like he is the Democrat himself and he really wants to have this conversation. Because I know you're probably going to be up for a hot ass minute. But either way, nevertheless, I really do appreciate the conversation, Mercedes. Tom, of course, Ryan, it was nice seeing you. I hope you're doing well.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
but
you
guys
too.
have a good one.
Just really quick, I followed you. You're kind of growing on me for sure. You're respectful. If you can hear me, geek. You were really nice. I think you were respectful. You're definitely you are a great person to talk to. At the end of the day, whether we might agree on things or
I'm
not.
so sorry. I did not mean
And
to click
be
that.
to be like good faith towards Miss Mercedes, like
I'm sorry. 1 second. I did not mean to pull them on. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, moderate can be a relative term, like moderate in regards to what you're talking about. Like, I would consider myself a moderate leftist, even though I'm still like further left than liberals. But I'm not like so far left that I, like I don't consider myself a Marxist-Leninist. But so you could be moderate in some ways. It kind of all depends on what frame of reference you're looking at exactly.
Well, I just want to know how that. I haven't seen the video. I don't know what the video is, but how would that lead to Donald Trump?
Because at the end of the day, what did that hat reflect that he wore? What was the thing that he got back on? Because again, these are who they are. These are the people who want to.
I think you have to actually. He doesn't know what it is. So when you're saying what did he do, he's actually asking what he did.
So he was on. So he had a video of himself in a filter that had a gorilla face on it and started making some very, very egregious comments. And then he took the video down, but then was confronted again about it. And then when he was confronted about it, he doubled down and tried to seem like, oh no, that's not racist. That's not it. But when people of color felt offended by it, that's why he took it down. That's the reason is the problem. And this is why when people give leeway or try to play middle ground with it, that's the problem.
Yeah, I think it was him definitely being racist, and he should take it down. I definitely don't like that guy. I don't know anything about him. All I saw was like the clip of Good Trouble playing his video.
Sounds pretty bad. I don't know. I'm sorry I commented. I have no idea. Shouldn't be talking about it.
Hey, Naquan.
What's up? So let me ask y'all a question. How can y'all deconstruct people if y'all haven't deconstructed yourself?
Hello.
You're up here using the R word, and you know that it's hurtful to mental people and everybody else. You're sitting here actively using words that's hurtful to other community. You was just the head of an anti-trans movement. You claim you ended it, and then you get on Twitter and you grift. How are y'all deconstructing people if you have not did it yourself? That doesn't add up.
What is a grifter to you?
You're sitting up here making videos and stuff so you can get gifts, monies, and likes. That's grifting.
So would you say it's like a monetary thing?
You're grifting.
Is it for money?
Yes, you're doing it for money. You literally have podcasts and stuff still up. You was in the Capitol calling trans people. You calling trans people groomers. You're calling them a danger to kids. But then you claim you up here. You act like you voted for Kamala and stuff when you didn't even register to vote into 2022 and you never voted.
No, I voted for Kamala Harris, and I have a picture of my daughter.
You've never voted.
No, I voted for Kamala Harris, and
You do know the Texas registration is public information, correct?
Yes, I voted for Kamala Harris.
You do know the Texas.
Yes, you can look up whatever you want. I definitely voted.
You do know the Texas registration. The Texas registration is public information. You did not register into 2022. You've never voted. You got up here. You saw other people.
Yes, no, I voted. I voted.
You decided to grift off it.
Hold
You're
on,
calling
hold on.
trans people. You calling trans people.
Hold up.
Boomers, but
Can I address some of your comments here before you just keep blabbing?
I don't think
what
my
I'm gonna
mic is
first we're
working
gonna
right
start
now.
with the one where you say grifting, because I asked you, is grifting for a monetary value?
You're grifting.
Is grifting for a monetary value? Yes or no?
Do you not make money off your video?
Hold on. Can I? Yes. Is grifting, in your opinion?
Grifting.
Can you
grifting?
Can you
Yes.
answer the question?
Yes, you're
Is
grifting.
grifting for monetary value?
Yes, you're grifting.
Please tell me if you think it is more valuable. If I was on the right with a platform of 145,000 people on Instagram, 500,000 people on TikTok, do you think that I would have blown up a platform that I was making thousands of dollars off, and it's highly successful over there, in rooms with some of the highest people on the Conservative Party?
I've seen your Instagram page. It was shut down.
I turned it into a Kamala Harris thirst trap page.
You didn't have
No.
that much. You turned it to a Kamala Harris thirst trap page.
I had 145,000 followers on Instagram while I was a conservative. You can actually go watch the YouTube video with all the receipts. It's the second YouTube video I have at Camp Callout, where you will watch my whole entire journey of when I was over there. You will watch like receipt after receipt after receipt of me joining that org, leaving that org, my Instagram, my platforms, what they look like. You'll see the turnover to turning them to Kamala Harris thirst trap pages. I mean, it was a whole entire thing. I was highly successful as a conservative because, of course, they tokenize marginalized people in order to win over the...
So the same thing you're doing.
Hold on. They tokenized marginalized people in order to win over the centrist vote. If I want, hold on, can I fucking finish? If I wanted to make an abhorrent amount of money, I would have stayed over there. I would not have canceled thousands of dollars of brand deals and told them that I was on a Twitter Spaces Live and I said, you guys are the most morally bankrupt people I've ever met in my life. I'm leaving. And then I left and turned it into a Kamala Harris thirst trap page the next day. You can run all of my platforms, both TikToks, both Instagrams, and one of those, I don't know, those websites where it checks how old these platforms are. You'll see all of them started from zero. You don't just nuke your platforms. If you're gonna
hold on, wait, hold on, wait, hold on, hold on, I need to, hold on, wait, I need to clarify something, hold on. Naquan, I want to ask you 2 questions real quick, I need to make sure that we're on the same page. When you say grifting, you do mean that, like, she doesn't actually hold those beliefs, right?
No, she don't.
Okay, and then the second thing is, do you think it's easier to grift on the right or the left?
It's easy to grift on any side that's popular at that time.
Okay.
You can grift on both sides. You can grift on the left or the right. You
Sure,
don't have to have
you can.
the
I'm
belief.
asking which side do you think it's easier to grift on, though? Because she was on the right, and I feel like it's way easier on the
grift
right.
on any side because you have people that's on the left side with 5 million followers.
Sure.
You have people on the right side also.
I don't
that's
think
with
you're
5
understanding
million
my question.
followers. I'm
I would say the
understanding
right.
your question.
Don't you think the right is probably easier to grift on because they don't hold people accountable as much on the right?
No, not really. Not really.
Okay.
That's
All
the
right.
reason she. That's
They
the
sp-
reason.
they
that's,
spend more
that's
money, too.
also,
The
That's
right wing
also
spends
the
more money.
reason. That's also the reason she don't want people to have accountability for the stuff they do. It's the reason she don't have shame with Ray said. It's the reason she didn't call out Tom for using the R word up here.
And not only that, in particular, again, this administration did that exact same thing. At one point was a Democrat and then switched to Republican out of nowhere so that they can be able to make some money out of it. So it is very interesting how when we're trying to give you like some accountability so you can do self-accountability, you decide to again do a pushback. And that is the necessary issue that we have. Instead of actually taking the self-accountability to self-educate yourself and maybe learn about the stuff that people are presenting to you, you decide to go and run off and be like, oh, I'm being reprimanded. Oh, I'm being reprimanded. Well, guess what? You're being reprimanded because you said something wrong. Now go learn. It's not that hard.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I will say, Naquan, I shouldn't have said the R word. Okay, I will say it. Fine, I was heated. Like I shouldn't have said it. But that I don't know when you're saying that the people don't believe the things that they're saying.
Saying that you were heated as an excuse, you wasn't heated.
It's not an excuse. I just said I shouldn't have said it. I just said I shouldn't have said it. Yes, I did, and I said I shouldn't have said it.
I respect you more if you stand on what you said and said I said it because I meant it.
I did mean it. Wait, I did mean it. Hold on. I don't know why you're having trouble understanding what I'm saying. I did mean it. I meant it with every fiber of my being. But I shouldn't have said it. Those are different things.
No,
completely separate things. I meant it, but I shouldn't have said it.
You meant it. That means you believe you should have said it. That justify you saying.
No, that's not the same thing.
Angry for saying
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. You're justifying saying it. You believe you should have said it. You felt like you felt like you don't have to have consequences for saying it.
I did it. No, I don't. No, that's not true. That's totally separate. Okay. If I mean it, that's one thing. If I mean that he is dumb, he is stupid, he is somebody that's idiotic, yes, I meant it. That's what obviously everybody knew that I meant when I said it, but I shouldn't have used that word to say that. But I meant it, but I shouldn't have said it. I shouldn't have said it. And I'm taking, like, this is accountability. I'm sitting here straight up saying, it's not a word that I should say. I shouldn't have said it. I am not running away from that in any way.
That was cute, but that was real cute.
I'm sorry, you cannot just say that that's cute. You are just wrong, and you're trying to say that people don't believe the things that they're saying, which is ridiculous.
It was ridiculous you believe you said it. You don't feel a problem with saying. The only reason you saying that
I
it
just
was an
said I shouldn't
issue.
say it. That means
No,
that
no,
I
no.
shouldn't say it. That means I know the
When you
problem.
go when Jaden called you out on it the first time when he was up here, you didn't have an issue with it. So you still believe that you were okay with saying it. You don't have an issue with it until you keep getting called out for it. But I'm gonna let you have that one.
That's
I
not
digress
true. I
on that.
said to him, no, when he
Okay,
said that people shouldn't say it, I said, you're right.
I was
People
in
shouldn't say
here.
it.
He said that before you said it, and you said you're right, and then you doubled down and you said it with your whole chest.
Correct.
You said it with your whole chest.
I did.
When he first told you that you posted it on Twitter and he pulled up the receipts, you acted like you didn't know what he was talking about. And then when he told you what he was talking about, you said, that's right, I shouldn't have said it. But then after he stumped you, you said it with your whole chest. So you meant it.
I did mean it.
You
I've
meant
told
it.
you I meant it. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so
This is
don't
literally
sit
what
here-
we're
okay,
talking
so
about.
don't-
Is that
don't-
like, and
don't act like-
I'm willing to
don't
again. I'm
act
taking
like-
accountability for
so
what I did.
don't-
I shouldn't have said it. I was
don't
wrong,
act
but
like
I
you-
did mean it.
okay.
Those are totally separate things,
Okay.
and you're conflating the
I
two. And I
digress.
don't know if you don't understand the difference. But
Okay, I digress.
Okay.
Okay, you got that. You got that. So Mercedes, again, how can you deconstruct somebody if you have not deconstruct yourself?
Hold on, I'm still stuck on the fact that people think I didn't vote for Kamala Harris. So like, Tom, what can you explain this to me? So I registered to vote in a city called Bastrop, moved to Austin, brought my registration to Austin or re-registered to in Austin. And then I voted for Kamala Harris, but people are in the chat are saying, according to my records, it says I didn't vote. But I know I voted because I looked at a ballot in which I understood, like when I looked at the ballot and I did my ballot, I went in, and the way that you can know that I looked at a ballot is because it says D and R. Everything has a D and R to it until you get to like local elections. And I will admit, all the
Well,
local
plus,
elections.
if you vote
didn't
for
have-
something with a D next to it, you get to do it like 3 or 4 times, from what I hear from MAGA. So.
Well, see, I don't know it, but I don't know what I don't know what that means. But what I'm saying is like I know I had a ballot. Oh, that I don't know. It was my first time ever seeing a ballot, so I've never seen a ballot before in my life because it was the first time I ever voted, and I voted for Kamala Harris. And when I looked at the ballot, I'm trying to explain that I know that I seen a ballot. I know that what I did was a ballot because it was on a fucking computer, and all the local elections did not have R or D by it. So I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what happened with my local election vote because it didn't have a specification of what their party was. But these people are saying, Becca Day is saying, LMAO, it's public.
Okay, so fun.
Hold on. You didn't vote. The ballot is simple. No one said the ballot isn't simple, but I think it is. I'm just saying that the local elections did not have a DNR, so I didn't know.
No.
But you're saying you voted for
Kamala. They would all
Yeah,
be
what I'm
on
saying is
one.
voted for Kamala, but why is the chat saying I didn't vote for
They would
Kamala
all
Harris?
be on one poll. They would all be on one poll. They would all be on one thing. One thing. It wouldn't be just your local and then your federal. You did not vote. This is public information.
No, I did vote though.
Okay. So again, yeah, I digress on that.
No, but I'm actually
Okay,
bothered.
I digress on that.
It was the first time I ever voted. It was the first time I ever seen a ballot.
Okay,
I had to give my ID to the lady at the booth. She gave me a sticker.
If you
Like
don't
what?
even know, if you don't know
No,
the
no, no, no,
simple
no.
fact that federal and states go on the same thing. The
No,
only
I
thing is
understand that. I
different-
never said it. I
the
never
only-
said federal.
no,
I
no,
never
no,
said
you
federal
said-
and state did not go on the same ballot. What I'm saying is at the very bottom of the ballot, there was so everything has DNR next to it until you get to the bottom of the ballot, which would be your local elections. And at the bottom of the ballot, nothing had DNR next to it. Why I'm saying that is because the only way I would know that information is if I've seen a fucking ballot. I've never seen a ballot.
Or you could have just tried to Google it.
I have not left this live this whole entire time. This is the first time I'm finding out that people are saying that I did not vote for Kamala Harris.
So you don't have 2 devices?
This is crazy. Why do you care?
Yeah, this is a
you
bit
sit
wild.
here
Naquan, what is your
hold on, because you hold on. I'm talking to her. So
Wait. She lied about voting for Trump. What do you mean? What do you mean I
I'm
lied
addressing
about
her
voting
and I
for
was
Trump?
addressing Tom. I don't know who y'all 2 is. Y'all don't have no foot in this game.
I don't really care one way or
You're on a
another.
panel with them. I'm sorry, but yeah, you're on a panel
Okay,
with them. You asked to come up.
I
with
mean,
them.
I'm an infinitely bigger creator than anyone else.
That's great. I don't care about views. That's great. I actually care about people. So again, Like I said, I don't know y'all, so I don't have no issue with y'all. Y'all don't have no foot in the game with me. My issue was with him using the R word, telling people that he's trying to deconstruct other people when he has not deconstructed himself. My issue was with her when she claims to be trying to deconstruct people and she has not deconstructed herself. You cannot deconstruct in just
I never
2
ever
days.
used that word.
You cannot
Ever used
deconstruct in just
I
a
didn't either.
month.
Yeah,
You said you're an ex-MAGA, which means you changed your ways, which means you deconstructed from being a MAGA. Yes.
Tom, I'll let you handle this.
Yes. No. I've talked to Tom. I want to talk to you. How can you deconstruct and change other people's mindset if you still have the same mindset that you started in this with?
Well,
Again, you're
I
saying
mean,
that as though people have to have a mindset. Again, somebody can be like full on MAGA. They can be Donald Trump and go vote for Kamala Harris. Like that. The
You
idea.
can't. No, you can't.
Wait. She said that she supports universal health care and free education, including college. If it's for no other reason than those two things, you absolutely can vote for Harris.
No, you can't, because people that
Yes, you
support
can.
those. No, because people that support those also voted for Trump. You have people
No,
that
they don't.
Yeah, you do, because you have people
No,
that are
they
pro-choice.
don't.
Yeah, they do. You have people that are pro-choice that also still voted for Trump. For
I didn't
one,
talk about
one
pro-choice.
for
I talked about
okay,
two
so
specific things that
people
Trump
are
voters don't
a
vote
lot
for.
of people are single issue voters. Single issue voters.
And she gave you two at least.
No. Again, like I said, I don't have no issue with y'all. Y'all don't have no foot in the game with me, so I don't have no issue with y'all. Y'all didn't say nothing that I know of that was either
It doesn't
way
matter.
offensive.
It's about the logic that you're using, that they're taking,
That's
contending
cool.
with.
Yes,
That's cool. I'm trying to have a conversation with her because she wants to be on this tour. She wants to she wants to rep for marginalized communities. So I'm asking, how can you decompress when you literally was the head of an anti-trans group?
Well, I wasn't the head of it, but sure.
You was the face of it.
I wasn't the face of
your
it.
face is
The group was well established
the
before I came.
Instagram page is still up and is
Yeah, so
public.
there's many faces on
You're
there.
the face of it. They tagged you in your post and saying that you are the face of it pretty much.
No, the
you
face.
were the
Telling me the
face
face
of
of
it.
it that's heavy lifting there.
You were the face of it. You call these people groomers. Tell me, how is a trans person grooming?
Yeah, definitely not the.
If we actually want to talk about grooming, cishet white men actually groom kids when they sit there and put them in beauty pageants. You got religious people that groom kids when they essay them and tell them that if you tell your parents Jesus is gonna send you to hell. You sitting here and you targeting a group, but then you try to want to fight for them, and you don't even feel sorry for saying it. So how can you deconstruct somebody else when you did not deconstruct yourself?
Would you say, Mercedes, that you're sorry for calling trans people groomers?
Yeah, but I don't even like. That's not even my angle. And when I was
Well,
over there,
no.
that
Hold
wasn't
on.
my
Wait, that is the question though. Is it if you still hold those beliefs, like the beliefs that got you to be part of the movement? The question is, do you still hold the beliefs that like trans people are groomers? That's, I think, the.
So that was never that. Yeah, but that was never my belief when I joined. So I never held that belief.
To only buy me boy toys. She supported me as a masculine child. What she didn't do is talk about gender ideology, something that would have confused me growing up.
You cannot lie when the internet is forever.
Hold on. Let it play. Let it play.
Let me grow up to be me. She let me grow up knowing that it's okay to be a tomboy.
Hold on, let's
start
start
I look
this.
back and thank her every single day. If I were
Let me start this from the beginning so you can say the group that you with.
Yeah, gays against groomers. Yes.
And this is a trans bill.
That wasn't your opinion while you were with that group? I'm confused.
No, the opinion of the group is people under the age of 18 should not
ideology.
Hold on.
Something that would have confused
I'm gonna
me
refresh
growing
it because it's
Something
not
that
letting
would
me
have made me
rewind.
question.
Okay, so the ideology is that people under the age of 18 shouldn't be receiving hormones.
And
But that is the
group
term
name
that they
is-
use
the
when they
group
say
name
groomers.
is
They're saying that
gay
they're
for
getting people
groomers.
who
When
are
they talking
underage
about
to
groomers, they're
transition.
talking about trans people.
Yeah.
So you cannot say that wasn't your belief. Then you join a group that's talking about gay for groomers when you're talking about a trans bill.
Yeah, for sure. Because the bill was
So
about,
that was your belief.
yes, people under the age of 18.
That was your belief, yes or no? Because you tried to say that
Yes,
wasn't your belief.
my belief.
You thought that I did not have the video.
Hold
I
on,
put
what
the
are point?
video
Hold
up.
on, what are What are answering?
Anyone can see that video. You can go find any videos from my past. I was literally an ex-conservative influencer. My face was plastered all over the internet. This is not a secret. I've been open about it from the very beginning. I have YouTube videos on it. Everyone knows this. But what I'm saying is my belief over there, it was simply people under the age of 18 should not be receiving.
Hey, Mercedes. So I found out why you have no problem with panel.
What is your belief now?
It's because you're not really an ally. You're a grifter. This stuff is public information.
My name is
what is your belief
Chandler.
now?
I'm a
Has your
member
belief
of Gays
changed?
Against Groomers, and I live here in Austin, Texas. I'm also a member of the gay community. Growing up, I only played with boy toys. I only wore boy cargo shorts and polo shirts. I was the epitome of a boy. I knew I was different from a young age. Before any of my birthday parties, my mother would get on the phone and call the other parents to tell them to only buy me boy toys. She supported me as a masculine child. What she didn't do is talk about gender ideology, something that would have confused me growing up, something that would have made me question my very existence. Instead, she let me grow up to be me. She let me grow up knowing that it's okay to be a tomboy. Because of this, I look back and thank her every single day. If I were allowed to make these irreversible changes to my body as a child, I would have hated who I am today. Instead, I grew up to be a proud masculine lesbian who is ever so grateful to be happy and healthy without any irreversible consequences. Why should being a tomboy come with lifelong side effects? If I were growing up in today's age, I would have not been so fortunate.
So you tried to compare tomboys to transsexuals.
Well, I mean,
You
that's
tried
not.
to
Hold on,
compare tomboys.
hold on. Just to be clear, you have repeated the name of the organization over and over, as though the video that you're showing is proving that she was calling them groomers and that she was saying that they were grooming children. But what she's saying is that she was specifically against people underage transitioning. That's not my position, and I don't know if she holds that position. But just to be clear, she is. Hold on. Just to be
Calling
clear,
it gender ideology, I feel like that is implying that it's like kind of inherently bad to like tell kids that they can't be trans.
Right.
If you're calling it gender ideology.
So I think that the difference here is that she's trying to make it clear that she's not saying that they're like sexually grooming children or anything. She was against them transitioning, and then now, Mercedes, is that still your position that like somebody underage shouldn't transition or something like that?
Hold on.
No, hold on, wait. This is important. No, we've been trying to get this for a while. Hold on. Hold on. No, hold on, wait. Hold on. Mercedes, is that still your position that like people under the age of 18 shouldn't transition?
I think like we need. I'm okay with having a nuanced conversation with conservatives when it comes to like if it's. I see both sides of the argument. I think social transition isn't harmful, but I think when it comes to like double mastectomy at like 15 or 16, which I worked with detransitioners in that space, and you know it's hard because it's like on one side of the spectrum you have people who might regret it and might change their mind down the road, and to the people who say it doesn't happen, I've worked with these people. That was part of what I did in this organization, and it was like, okay, so in my now belief, it's like I see both sides. I see as to why, say, a trans
Sure, but
person
it's I can see both sides as well. But I hold the position that like I do think that if they've gone through therapy, they've gone like to doctors, that they've gotten these diagnoses, that they think it's extreme enough to where they would have to transition at a young age, which is rare that they actually give those diagnoses. It's about 1,000 a year out of 100,000 who get a diagnosis. It's like 1,000 that actually get any sort of medical transition. So and that's only when it is like a really extreme cases when they do that. And so I think, well, if they're doing it that rarely, it seems like they're really being careful on when they do and don't prescribe this thing. So from my position, I think, okay, well, as long as it's being done responsibly and it's being handled carefully, we have a less than 1% regret rate afterwards, then I think that like currently we're in a good position. So I would say, even though I can see both sides, I hold like a pretty staunch position that I think it should be allowed, it should be legal, and it should be something that's accessible for them. And so I'm just asking, like, what is your position, or what would you prescribe if you are having voting yes or no on a bill? Are you voting yes, they should be capable of doing it, or no, they shouldn't be capable?
I wouldn't vote, because that's, in my opinion, like, I don't think I see both sides to a point where I can't. I don't think I could functionally make a decision on it because I see both sides too clearly.
Okay.
Okay. Can I say one thing? If I'm correct, it's way less than a 1,000 or 100,000 that you just said that are actually getting this thing. It's very rare that kids under the age of 18, and it may be less than 1% that
it's
is
it's 1,000. It's 1,000 a year.
I could be wrong, but I believe it is. I don't really look that up too much. Could be wrong. But if it's not against calling trans groomer, why didn't she go to vote on any religious bills that was going on in Austin? Why didn't you push to get safer things in church so these church leaders can stop actually grooming kids? Why is the only bills that you went and spoke on were trans bills?
Well, I only spoke on one bill, so that's the video you have is the only time I've ever.
You had a whole podcast talking about trans people.
Hold on. We're talking about bills.
These are, I'm sorry, none of this is relevant. Like, I'm sorry, one way or the other. Like, I did want to understand the position, but even if she still held that position, that wouldn't change to me whether or not she's grifting. I don't think that she's grifting. I think that if she was grifting, she literally grifted in the worst possible way, where she built a massive conservative audience who were all probably very pissed off when she voted for Kamala and probably unfollowed her in masses. So I think she probably is the worst fucking grifter of all time if she told her audience that she was voting for Kamala and is now working with Democrat movements to try to get people to vote for Democrats. This is a wild fucking grift. Like, grifters don't actually engage in direct. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's remove the grift.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, Ryan.
Here, let me let Ryan go real quick, and then I'll go back to you, Nick.
I was going to ask, do you still hold the belief that there's like a harmful ideology that's like trying to convince children to be trans when they actually aren't?
No, those are the things that I was able to learn that isn't happening, that is getting blown up out of proportion. So there was a time where like the right, and it's funny because the influencers know this too, but they know their followers don't know this. And this is what I'm about to say is probably going to not shock you, but one of my influencer buddies, when I was over there, they sent me a picture of a cat litter container in a supply closet. And they said, Mercedes, you should do a video on this talking about how these kids are taking cruds in the litter boxes in the classrooms. And I said, you don't actually believe it. Like, that's fake, right? That's not true. And they're like, yeah, I know it's not true, but the audience, they think it's true. And I was like, are you fucking serious? And this is one of the first things that started to break me. Was I went and I made a video and I countered it. I said, instead of doing what they wanted me to do, I said, hey, do you MAGA people actually believe cats are taking shits in the fucking classroom, in the litter boxes? Like, what? And every single comment was like, my Uncle Jesse fucking this was that, and they saw it. And, no one actually saw it, but they believe it's still happening. And like, these kids have phones. Mm-hmm. We'd be able to see if this is happening. Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to make the point that even the majority of pro-trans advocates also agree that children shouldn't be getting like bottom surgery or even usually top surgery before 18. So I guess it's a bit strange to me that you're saying like, I see both sides, when if you don't believe that there's like this harmful ideology and you think it is okay for kids to be trans, you just aren't in favor of like surgeries before 18. That's kind of like the standard pro-trans position for most people.
Okay, so let's remove grifting out of it. But this is not the only time that you attack the LGBTQ plus, the trans community are part of.
I was there for 6 months on that in that org. So out of my, multitude of years of
Then you do
conservative.
you did podcasts. You had your own
Yeah,
podcast, correct?
podcasts. Well, not my own podcast. I went on other people's podcasts.
And
While
you was attacking them on that podcast, correctly?
while I was a conservative influencer, yes.
You don't deconstruct from that kind of belief and hate towards people of your community in just a blink of an eye.
Okay,
It
that's
takes
possible,
years
bro. That's
to
totally possible. That
deconstruct.
this is literally the like gatekeeping and like purity testing that we were talking about. They're like, you
It's
guys
not
act like
gatekeeping
no.
because
This
I
is
I
because
was a
you are
I was a misogynist, and I would rather for people to call me out on my misogyny
No,
because
that's fine.
I'm still
No. That's fine. That's
decompressing
fine.
against that.
You're right now making the case that this is
we-
how you know she's a grifter, and this is ridiculous. That like she
I
can't
said
be
no.
somebody.
I said let's take the grifting out of it. I
Okay.
gave y'all that. Let's take the grifting out of it. But you were still actively attacking them. My question is, how can you decompress these people if you still have not fully done it yourself? That is harmful. I don't try to sit there and remove men misogyny or toxic men toxic.
Well, Naquan, would you say
like-
that you've like fully deconstructed all of your misogynistic
No,
beliefs?
and that's why I don't sit there and try to change people. I still sit and listen and learn. I don't sit there and try to be on the face of a movement because I know I'm not all the way there yet. It took for me to have. It took for me
But you
to
do think you could like advocate for like feminist positions, right? Or you don't think you should be allowed to advocate for feminism
No,
because
but-
you haven't fully deconstructed?
No, but I also believe 100% that it is all men till it's no man because my eyes was open and I still sit there and listen to this stuff. I don't sit there and try to be the face of a movement or part of a movement advocating for this stuff because I know I'm not 100% there yet. So you can't help somebody if you're not fully fixed yourself. If you have not removed all that hateful rhetoric yourself, you can't fix nobody else. You can't help nobody else. You're literally going to pull them down with you or they're going to pull you down with them.
Yeah, but this is
I guess
okay.
I just
That is
see
purity testing and
deconstruction is like
gatekeeping. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, like deconstruction is a process, I think, and I think some people deconstruct faster than others. For some people, it takes a long time. Some people can do it more quickly.
No.
I don't think anyone ever 100% deconstructs from like their harmful beliefs. Usually, I mean, maybe you can, but usually people don't like 100% deconstruct. So I guess my question is like, how much do you think someone has to have deconstructed before they are like a valid person to like speak up on certain issues?
I would say at least a year. At least a year. The same thing, just like let's say we was addicts, right? We were addicts, right? Most addicts are told not to even go back to that same surrounding within that year because it can give you a trigger. Some addicts are even told longer than that. Some addicts told never to go back to that area.
That's
because
true,
you can
but
have
they
a-
also
that
within
have a
rehabs, people who go through the steps and go through the process, lots of times, right when they finish, lots of these people they keep them there and make them counselors and have them start helping other people. The second they hit step 12,
guess-
they are
guess what
immediately
they-
counseling other people and helping other people.
But guess what the difference is? They accept that they're addicts. They have counselors counseling them while they're counseling somebody else. She don't have nobody counseling her to help her deconstruct this stuff.
I'm counseling
She's
her.
trying to just.
Hades, do you think you still have some like probably harmful stuff that you still need to deconstruct? Like
who, me? Yes.
I was asking Mercedes.
When it comes to like, I think my positions that I take on when it comes to say like what I believe on the underaged, the hormone thing, or what I like in that sector, I have like my stances on it, like you're giving me information throughout this live that maybe I might not have heard, but the stances that I have now, I've kept to them because it's just like what I believe.
But do you think like if you were raised in a conservative environment and you were working for like Gays Against Groomers, you probably have some like stuff under the surface maybe that hasn't been fully like addressed, right?
Did you say if I was raised conservative?
Well, I'm just saying, like, you were working for like Gays Against Groomers, and you were very outwardly conservative. So, if deconstruction is a process, there's probably some internal beliefs, because we sometimes you can't really know that subconsciously you might hold some things that could still potentially be harmful.
I think, Mercedes, you've said on your live before, and if you could just say yes or no, you've said on your live before that you were just like new to like being like a moderate or a liberal, and that you were still learning like the positions and learning what you believe and what you don't believe. Like that is your position, right?
Yeah, like I guess I'm still
Okay.
learning to this day, like what I believe and what I don't believe. Like, yeah, I guess that would be accurate for sure.
But see, that's the dangerous part, because you're not to that level that you should really be counseling. Like I said, let's think about this like addicts. No,
Yeah, I was an ex-addict.
no addict is just gonna jump out there and start counseling another addict.
Tom just said Tom just showed you otherwise.
They literally do, and not only that, but me as somebody, I was a
never within.
political podcaster as a conservative. I started streaming as a conservative, doing debates. Like, I'm already like an influencer or content creator as a conservative, and my audience and my community are there watching me as I'm going through a process and transitioning farther onto the left. I don't ever stop and say, you know what, guys, I can't be an influencer now. I have to stop and go deconstruct, and I can't be on screen talking about these issues or anything. Like, no, that I'm there. I'm going through my process, and I'm learning things, and I'm debating things, and I'm coming to new conclusions. And once I come to a conclusion, I am influencing my audience to take on those conclusions as well. That's a normal thing. I don't think that we need her to get to a certain level.
That's not normal. Like again, like I said, even with addicts, and I'm gonna give you maybe 5 months, but I highly doubt it. I had uncles that was addicted to that C stuff. It's usually a year before they give you any kind of type of freedom, because you can relapse at any given time. You can backpedal by hanging with the wrong person. So her trying to deconstruct people, and she still have not fixed herself completely, she can backslide, or she can drag that person or push that person further down a hole. You cannot.
I guess I think that applies to everyone, though. Like, I think anyone is capable of backsliding. I don't think anyone ever like has fully the perfect opinion, and we're all trying to work towards figuring out the best way to lead to a society with less harm, hopefully.
Yes, everybody's gonna always have some kind of fucked up thing in them. This is society norm. But the further you get away from it, the better for you. You can't just sit there and try to jump foot first. That's like swimming. You don't just jump in there without learning, right? You can't do it.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that, like, if you haven't fully deconstructed, maybe it's not the time to be like the face of a movement. But I also feel like jumping in and accusing someone of like grifting, if you don't have hardcore evidence that they're like lying about what they're saying, that can also be alienating people from wanting to make that process of deconstruction.
Also, we keep saying face of the movement. She is just one creator among many, and she's not the face. She's not even a headliner as part of that movement, from my understanding. There's tons of other like content creators and bigger content creators who are part of this as well, and she's just one among many. And she even admits her limitations in that and says, like, yeah, I just want to be able to like be there and be approachable to people, but I'm not there like teaching people. I'm not there like trying to educate them or anything. I'm just there to kind of be an approachable figure.
So let me say why I feel like it's a grift. Because she literally just closed this thing down. You can't find out. You can't see no voting information besides when she just registered. And I'm gonna give her that. Maybe she did. I'm willing to give her that. But you making all of these claims and you're putting it towards people heart that actually care. The LGBTQ plus community on here, they back people and they back them strong. They back them stronger than MAGA on here.
Can I ask you what you think she's trying to do?
I
What
don't know.
nefarious action do you think she's trying to
That's
take
my
right now?
question. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well,
Because that's what it
I would
it
assume that
feels
you'd
like.
have some kind of idea of a nefarious action that she
It
might take.
feels
Otherwise,
it
you wouldn't
Yeah,
be
you're
up
making
here
a
talking
really
to her.
strong claim
feels
with
like
very, very
it
general
feels like
information.
because nothing is actually adding up. We can't find no proof of her actually voting for Harris. But I said I'm willing to give her that. She said she did. I'm willing to give her that. She couldn't even tell exactly how the thing looked. She said, "Oh, I don't know what happened to my local
I was
voting."
explaining. No, I was explaining what my ballot looked
But
like because if
that's
there was
why,
no way that I would
and
know what my
I
ballot
said
looked like.
I'm
Like,
willing to give you that because you said this is your first time voting. I'm willing to give her that. But a lot of things just don't seem to be adding up. Are you?
I'm asking you. What do you think she's going to do? You think she's going to spy and like report back to the other side? Do you think she's going to try and convert liberals into being
Let me ask y'all a
anti-trans? I mean,
question.
what do you think
Y'all,
she's going to do?
have y'all ever heard of Malcolm X?
No, never.
Okay, so Malcolm X had a quote: "You don't trust certain liberals and conservatives.
But
You
I'm
don't."
asking you what you think she's
Yeah,
going
it's
to
not
do.
about trust. It's because you're talking about the
This is
moderates,
the
where
worst
it's like
grift
we're
in the
saying
world. It's about trust.
we're
It's
not
about
talking
trust because
about.
I used to follow her. She was one of the first creators on here I followed. But then after all of this stuff, nothing seems to be adding up. Nothing seems to be actually, without a doubt, nothing seemed to be adding up. There's no proof that she voted. The only proof I can actually find, or anybody can actually find, is that she registered in 2022. That's literally the only thing. So
Why would she move to the left? It's the stupidest
I'm
grift
sorry,
anyone would ever do at this moment in
I'm
time.
sorry. I'm not talking to you. I don't even know who you are. I'm sorry.
I'm the devil. I'm the
All
devil.
respect and with all respect, I don't even know who you are. I don't. With all
I'm the
respect,
goddamn devil.
that's cute. That's cute. I'm sorry. Who was I just talking to?
the devil.
No, it wasn't you, Ryan. Sorry. So
I think you were trying to explain how my grift, if I were to grift, if I were to ditch the most lucrative side that takes their creators and flies them all across the
no.
world. Hold on 1 second. If I were to grift and I was on a side where I had 2 huge platforms secured, I had invitations to hang out with the largest creators. Jelly Roll was following me, and his wife Jay Bunzy or whatever her name was following me as well. Like when I tell you, like some of the biggest names in that game had their eyes on me, and they said, "Sorry, you guys are morally bankrupt," and turned my pages into Kamala Harris thirst trap pages. I literally
I'm sorry.
Based, by the way. Epic and based.
And I have all the evidence on him on a YouTube video. If
Sorry.
you'd like to watch
I'm
it.
sorry.
I put a song in the bio. The song in the bio was Nicki Minaj's Super Bass. It was really based. But anyways,
I don't believe it. You
okay,
can't
then go watch the
can't
YouTube video
even-
with some receipts.
making the claim
Go
that
watch
you-
the
you
YouTube video.
made
I'm
the
making the
claim that
claim and
you
I'm giving you the
voted.
receipts to go back it
You
up
made
and
the
go
claim
watch
that
it.
you
But
voted, and you can't even find proof that you voted. The only proof of any type of thing that has to do with voter is your registration from 2022. Like literally.
I registered in 2022. Yeah, because
You claim that you joined the group, but that wasn't your belief. But the literally the group, and the only thing that y'all spoke about was trans people. The name of the group was.
Wait, hold on. You're gonna have to this claim.
We've been over this.
Yeah, this claim that I didn't vote. That's I mean I am going that one's pissing me off because I did vote and I was proud of my first time ever voting. Like I've never voted in a single election
No
before
proof.
in my life.
It's no proof. You can't find it nowhere on the internet.
Will anything satisfy you, or are you just going to harp on about grifting for the next, and loop on this for the next 10 minutes?
I don't know who you are. Sorry, like I said, I don't know who you are. The conversation has nothing to do with you.
Are you
You're
saying
about to
that
find
because she's
out,
a
buddy.
woman?
Whatsoever.
Are you saying
You're
that
finding
because
out
she's
right
a
now
woman?
who I
No,
am.
I'm not saying that because she's a woman. Whatsoever.
Is it because I'm white?
Possible to find
A
the
white
vote.
woman?
Fuck what your color is.
Whoever you want
at
to find
all.
it on. I don't know how this works. Can you easily look up when someone is
Sorry,
voted or not?
whitey. My bad.
Hold on, quiet,
Yes, you
Mantis.
can actually look up voter registration information. That's how I found out she only registered in 2022. They're showing no proof of her ever voting.
Okay, but I did vote, and that's what's gonna piss me off because like someone said, Mercedes, check in the comments. They're like, Mercedes, you better check if they counted your vote. Which, like, regardless, okay, but I did vote. Like, it was the first time I ever voted. I literally clicked the button
Even if they did
on a
not
screen.
even if they did not count your vote, you can still find out that you voted.
But I voted. I've never seen a ballot before, and I can describe the ballot to you on the screen, what it looked like. I can tell you that there was DNRs up until a certain point of I guess authority to where they thought the local people I guess didn't deserve the clarification of what DNR was, because I was voting. I was just going D all the way down the ballot, and I was very upset when I got to my local election part and there was no DNRs differentiating it. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to guess on the name. So I just went with all women because I was like, I guess if it had a female name, they're probably most likely, you know, not a Republican. But other than that, like, I did vote, and that's gonna piss me off. People say that I didn't vote. That's dumb. Like, what the fuck is that?
Don't worry about it. It honestly doesn't matter. Like, if you felt like you went out and you made that vote, and if it didn't get counted in some silly thing, or even if that is the case, like, you went and made that vote, and that's what you did. Like, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
Yeah, that would suck if that was the case. It is a thing that happens sometimes. It's rare,
would suck,
but it would. Yeah, that would suck. But because it was my first time voting in person. The first time I voted was when a ballot was sent to my house in 2020, and that was my first time voting in person this election. I have I like, yeah, I would be pretty upset if any of my votes didn't count. But yeah, I believe you, mainly because, yes, the whole logic of you doing all of this for a grift, you would just truly be the worst grifter alive. Like that for you to actually do so direct action and get involved to try to get more people to vote for Democrats would just be wild, dude.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm probably gonna hop down. I appreciate the conversation, everybody.
Thanks for coming, Ryan.
Ryan, you're cool.
Thanks, Ryan.
Can I ask one more question? Because everybody that was proud, that voted for Kamala, they was very proud. They took pictures and stuff. You have a picture to prove it?
I think I have a picture of my electronic ballot, but it's like
Most states don't allow you to take pictures.
Like, do you have like a picture of like a I voted sticker or like something like that?
You can check, by the way, if you go, you can go to vote.org and see if your ballot was counted when you get offline sometime.
Yeah, you can.
I would say go check for yourself.
You can literally check.
So what is it called?
You can check to see if it was counted. It'll show
if you just go, yeah, you could go to your local place if you want to, but you just go to vote.org and it'll run you through the process of getting to where you live.
I actually have a whole ass TikTok on it.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I do have to start winding down.
Is correct then.
Okay, let me see really quick.
I don't expect you to do all of this today.
But if you like I said, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt because like everybody said up here, it does happen. It's a rare occasion, but it's not showing up online. So most people, it's not showing up.
Yeah, I get that, but I did vote.
I just think most of this night, Mercedes, it's been pretty sad, like, listening to all of these people who are kind of on the side that you're trying to advocate for. They really have been kind of dogpiling you and telling you you're not good enough and telling you're a grifter and telling you haven't done things the right way and what do you know and how are you going to convince people and that's not good enough. And it's just been, honestly, a really good example of what the problem is from my perspective and from people like Mercedes' perspective, I suppose, maybe. It's honestly, like, sad to watch, and they were just so patronizing and just, yeah, like, you don't owe these people answers. They're not a part of the movement. And the fact that they're so desperate to find out about it and to find out your role and what you're going to do just shows that they probably want to be a part of it, but they're feeling left out, and they should be, because they're like, they don't really deserve to be in the movement with this kind of behavior.
Who's not part of the movement? First of all, I would never platform with anybody that used microaggressions against a black woman and didn't even know what a microaggression was. Secondly,
No, we know what they are. We just don't care about them.
You're
that's
literally sharing
great.
a platform with us right
Secondly,
now. What do you mean?
I actually
sharing a
do
platform
stuff
with everyone
for
who's
my community. But this let me know because y'all socialize with a person that just made it very clear they don't give a fuck about using microaggression against a black person. So
Me, I'm probably the least one on the panel. If you're gonna or if you're gonna direct that energy at me, I'm gonna tell you, you got a whole nother.
Yeah, it's definitely
well,
Mercedes is the least.
So let me make something clear. Your proximity to blackness does not negate racism. Please understand that because the slave masters, they were beating their slaves in the daytime, sleeping with them at nighttime. Your proximity to blackness does not negate racism. I need y'all to stop saying that.
What did she say? She
I
had
need
black
y'all
friends
to-
or
Who
something?
said that?
Not
Who
so
said
stupid,
that?
Yeah,
because
wait.
you
Who
was
said
about to
something?
say she's
Who
the
said
least.
that?
When I said y'all don't have an issue with using microaggression against black people, you was about to say that Mercedes the last person you can say that to because she has a black wife. I've seen her black wife on here with her on her last live. So I made it very clear if that was the route you was going down, your proximity to blackness does not negate racism. But if y'all willing to sit around people that use microaggression and understand what a microaggression is against a black person, but then you want that black person to them black people to actually be part of y'all fights and shit, lets me know that y'all did not deconstruct and y'all gonna
Okay, just to
fuck
be
up the
clear,
movement.
I think
haven't-
we all
Anyone who
do.
says
Hold on, wait.
deconstruct
Shut up,
is like
Mantis. Shut up. Shut up.
beyond
Okay, hold
stupid.
on. Just to be clear. Okay, he left. Yeah. So
Bye.
that he's saying I would never share a platform with people. You literally are doing it right now as you're speaking and saying these things. But we do care. Okay, I care about microaggressions. I don't think it's good. I don't think that it's something that people should do. We disagree on what microaggressions are, and this is the conversation that I had with all of these people numerous times, one after another after another. Is that they're making a lot of arguments as to what that these things are microaggressions over and over and over and over. But every time I ask, like, yeah, but what? How do you know that they were saying it because you were black? They had no like real logic, no real connection to it, no reasoning to say they said this to me because I was black, regardless of like intention or anything like that. They had no way to believe that what was being said was said because they were black. They were just jumping to a conclusion and just assuming that it was because they were black that something was said. If they was said because they were black, obviously there's some sort of subconscious bias there. There's some sort of problem. There's some sort of there's something that they need to work on. But that wasn't the case in any of these scenarios. There wasn't anyone who there wasn't any reasoning behind believing it.